news, obviously, with Justified, seeing if he can continue his winning ways. You have some breaking news or something we talked about earlier this week that you had some inside information you were going to share with us that potentially the Preakness may not be at Pimlico much longer. Can you share that with us?
Oh yeah, sure. This has been an ongoing. In all fairness, this is an ongoing story here in Maryland. That Pimlico, which is a very old facility, and I'd like to be tactful about calling it venerable. If you weren't tactful, you would call it decrepit, I guess.
You mean venerable like you could get a venerable disease? That's what I think.
It is a very old building, well past its prime. The Maryland Jockey Club, which is the subsidiary of the Stronach Group, which owns both Laurel Park and Pimlico Race Course, as well as the Preakness Stakes, has often said its preference is to move this race to Laurel Park. And of course, tradition, legacy has been on the side of Pimlico as remaining the site for this. But an upgrade of Pimlico would probably cost about $300 or $400 million on the conservative side, and certainly the Maryland Jockey Club doesn't want to pay for that. The state of Maryland certainly isn't volunteering to pay for that. So there seems to me, at least in my eyes, an inevitability that this race has to be moved to the newer facility, and a facility that the Maryland Jockey Club is willing to pay to upgrade, and that's Laurel Park.
All right, so maybe the last year we'll see the Preakness run over 100 years in Baltimore.
Yep.
Maybe it'll move to right between
one more year.
One more year, and then it goes
2019.
Into the suburbs between Washington and Baltimore. Frank?
Right.
Oh,
Yep.
I've been to that track. It's it's a nice track, Laurel.
Yeah, I mean Laurel Park has a lot of advantages. One of which is that it's got the footprint to create one of these sports facilities that can be surrounded with restaurants and bars and even townhouses and condominiums. And I believe the state is putting a rail station in right there at the site of the track. So, you guys are putting a brand new stadium in there in Las Vegas. That's the trend of sports facilities. They're not just a stadium or a ballpark or a racetrack. They have to be something grander.
Well, and certainly every new facility around the country now is seeming to have a sports book now put somehow into the architectural design of that new stadium/entertainment building.
Sure.
Now, Delaware applied today.
Really?
Yeah, Delaware. It's all they're trying to beat the jump to everybody.
All right, gentlemen, let me just stop for a second. Just a second. Before we go into this next segment, we're going to talk about the Supreme Court.
Yeah, I want to talk
Let's talk about Justified. Before we leave this first segment, Bill, please hang on with us in the second segment because we're going to talk about the Supreme Court. Frank, you want to talk about the race today?
Yeah, Bill, I was wondering, with such a sloppy track and the fog and everything, that's got to be like any kind of hazard. It has to be an advantage to everybody betting against Justified, right?
Well, that would normally be the case, but it is not today. Bad weather, bad track conditions would normally be a great leveler of the field. However, Justified, of course, won the Kentucky Derby on a sloppy track. And even when he was back in California racing at Santa Anita, he won on a wet track at Santa Anita. Not specifically the Santa Anita Derby, but a race preceding that. So this horse likes wet. So normally you're right that adverse conditions would level the field a little bit, but I don't think that's going to be the case here.
Wow. So what's the price on him? What's the current price right now at the mutuals?
Okay, he was, and I haven't, because I've been covering some of the preceding races. I still think he's 1-2. I don't think it's much moved off of that.
Wow, 1-2.
So what does that mean? Let me just translate. Does that mean that he's probably even money to win the Triple Crown? Because you figure if he wins here, he's probably going to be a big favorite at the Belmont. Does that? I mean, are we looking at a potential Triple Crown winner here?
Well, we are looking at a potential Triple Crown attempt. That's for darn sure. As to what his odds will be for the Triple Crown, I don't know, because one of the issues we always have with the Triple Crown is there's a bunch of horses waiting in ambush up in New York. And these are horses that may have not run in Kentucky, may have not run here in Baltimore. And here, Justified's gonna, is racing now twice in 2 weeks. He'd have to race again in another 3 weeks. And there are a bunch of horses up there, laying in wait for him that are rested and may be training for the mile and a half. So I think it's difficult to handicap, to tell you the truth.
Well, if I look at the odds right now on betanysports.eu, and by the way, I recommend everyone head over there if you want to place a little wager. It's right now you can get 50% bonus on your deposit up to $1,000
bonus
just by mentioning Fifth Street Sports. But right now, Justified winning the Preakness is minus 210.
Wow.
There you go.
He's a favorite, but I mean that's not like a prohibitive favorite.
That's pretty prohibitive.
Yeah. For how many horses are on the field? Do you know, Bill?
8.
8.
Yeah, there's an 8-horse field.
Okay.
I'm actually putting every penny that I own on Tenfold because he's plus 3,000.
Is there not a yes/no line at Betting Sports?
I haven't checked that, Brian Allen, but feel free to do so and let us know.
All right, so wrapping up this first segment, Bill Ordin, any last thoughts before the race? What you see out there, and any predictions?
Well, for the big one, I mean, frankly, it looks like a 2-horse race, between Justify and Good Magic. And I mean, I really don't. My thoughts are not going to change between now and the next hour and a half on that.
So Bill, you don't think I should put every penny that I own then on that particular bet?
Yeah, I mean, if Nolan says yes, then I would do it.
Yeah, I'm good at betting other people's money. Do it.
All right, guys.
By the way, the yes/no price is yes minus 220.
It is minus 220. Okay, all right, folks. We're going to have to step aside, take a break. We are joined by Bill Ordin, live from
the Preakness, Baltimore.
That's right, Baltimore, Maryland. Nick Eber, Frank Perez, Nolan Dowler. We have Oklahoma Brian. We got everybody on. It's like a big party.
It's like CNN.
Yeah, I know. We're going to have to step aside, though, pay some bills, because that's how
somebody's got to pay.
Yeah, exactly. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in 3 minutes.
And you worry too many
Results
people.
may vary, not a solicitation for legal services. If you owe the IRS back taxes, payroll taxes, or have not filed your returns, the IRS will get you. They can take your property, take you to court, even put you in jail. One call to Wall and Associates, and your tax problems are solved. Wall has saved clients over $150 million in the last 5 years. Our average client settles for about 10% of what is owed. With one call to Wall, you'll never need to talk to the IRS again. We offer free face-to-face consultations in your local area. Remember, Wall has a proven track record with a total client savings over $150 million. Call now for your free face-to-face consultation. 800-813-9940. 800-813-9940. 800-813-9940.
Hi, I'm Dr. Robert Clapper, Chief of Orthopedic Surgery at Cedars-Sinai Medical Group in Los Angeles, California. Dedicated to your health, your life, and your sports. As a weekend warrior, you know about sports injuries and pain. Exercise is an important element in keeping your body's core in good shape to minimize sports injuries. But when you are in pain, there is one product that I recommend to my patients, and that is Blue Goo Gel. Blue Goo consists of a proprietary formula developed specifically for the treatment of inflammation and general muscle aches and strains. I recommend Blue Goo for my patients coping with hip and knee pain before surgery, especially bursitis and tendinitis. Give Blue Goo a try. Call 1-888-330-0123 and you'll receive a 1-week supply of Blue Goo absolutely free. The makers of Blue Goo are even paying the shipping. The number again is 1-888-330-0123. If you want more information on Blue Goo, visit online at www.dothegoo.com.
Now available at select Big 5 stores near you. Do you use the blue pill to charge your sex life? Have you been thinking about trying the blue pill? What if we can promise you the same results for less than $3 a pill? If you're paying $20 a pill for the other pills, you're getting taken to the cleaners. Our pill delivers the exact same results for less than $3. We'll do the math for you. You'll save more than $16 a pill for the same results. Want more? We'll give you 40 blue pills or 40 yellow pills for $99 and add 4 more pills free. You save more than $500. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to know what to do next. You need to call and get your 44 pills for just $99. Stop overpaying for the other blue pills. Call us and start saving a ton of money for the exact same results. Ordering is fast and easy with your pills delivered to your door in a non-marked package. 800-223-0992. 800-223-0992. 800-223-0992. That's 800-223-0992.
All right, and continuing our in-depth coverage of the royal wedding, did you see her dress, Nolan?
No, I did not. I was
400
looking at horses on the, I was
Well,
thinking about,
if you were looking at horses, you mean you were looking at the aristocrat section at the church during the abbey during the marriage ceremony. Her dress cost $420,000.
You're kidding me.
Now, once again, I couldn't give a snot about the wedding, but I think that that's obscene under any circumstances, that any piece of clothing should cost that much money. Unless, of course, it's perhaps a Mick Jagger jacket that he wore, at Woodstock or something like that. I don't know, but it's obscene. I don't care. Rats' backsides.
and here we are talking about it.
Yeah, but, we're having a little fun with it. All right, Nick Geber, Nolan Dallin, Frank Perez, Bill Ordin on the phone, and, of course, Oklahoma Brian on our guest box, as is always the case. It's great to be back here on Sports Byline SB Nation Radio with Fifth Street Sports. Let's get back to our special guest live from the Preakness. It is Bill Ordin. Bill, welcome back. You're not getting rained upon too hard, I do hope. But if you are...
No rain, just a pea-soup fog, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and, I don't know if the ladies at the Preakness wear those same pretentious hats that they do at the Kentucky Derby, but if they do, feel free to grab one off the nearest coiffured head and put it on yours to protect yourself from the rain, okay?
Well, I'll keep that in mind. But
okay, good.
They dress up pretty good here.
Yes, I'm sure they do. Bill, let's get to it, because the big news this week, obviously, was the Supreme Court of the United States finally getting off its arse, I might add, and coming down with the ruling that everybody expected, saying that the state of New Jersey is well within its rights to regulate license, tax, and legalize sports betting in the state of New Jersey, which one would think, given that sports betting is currently very active here in the state of Nevada, where we are lucky enough to live, it would seem that it would be unfair that they would not be allowed to, but say we can. Of course, Carolyn Goodman's very happy that that was the case, and now she's not so happy. And that makes me happy, by the way, but that's a different discussion. But, Bill, let's discuss it, because my reading of this is that it's essentially thrown it back to the states. Some states will allow it and regulate it. Some states won't. I'm reading there's Pennsylvania's wanting to tax sportsbook operators 35% of their profits, but other states are willing to tax 2%. We already had a big debate here about the lunacy of this integrity fee. What say you?
Yep. Well, you are correct in assessing that this is going to be a state-by-state rollout, and each state will have its own peculiar angles to all of this. And you're right. I mean, if Pennsylvania were to levy such a huge tax, it probably means that there's going to be very little enthusiasm for sports wagering. People who are betting illegally will continue to bet illegally. If we look at the New Jersey model, that may become the template. They want to tax at 8% if you bet at the bricks and mortars book, and they want to tax it 12.5% if you are wagering, if the wager is accepted online. So you're right insofar as each state is going to be a special case. And, states have to be careful that they don't foul this up.
Yeah, I mean, that's, of course, the big question. And I know there's some states, as I go through the list, I really forget the names, most of them. There's only really one state I care about, and that's Nevada, but that's just me. And, of course, the state of grace, which one is entirely, constantly trying to live in. Isn't that right, Nolan?
No comment.
As he's polishing off his bottle of, what is that, a shot?
The name of my wine today is Three Thieves. I'm not making this up.
Perfect.
I'll show it in a minute. Three Thieves. Is that appropriate? By the way, Bill Ordin, I have to ask you. So when you walk into a New Jersey, most likely Atlantic City or maybe Monmouth or somewhere, sportsbook casino, most of the people listening to my voice right now will have understood what the Las Vegas Hilton and various casinos look like. Casino sportsbook look like in Las Vegas. Is that what we're going to see by football season? You walk into Caesars Atlantic City and you see a gigantic tote board with all the, all the bells and whistles. Is that what's coming?
I mean, that's an excellent question, Nolan, because, even though I don't live out there, obviously I'm familiar with the sports books. I know what Caesars Palace looks like. I know what the Westgate looks like. I know what the MGM looks like. Now, Atlantic City will have a ways to go to match those kinds of infrastructures. Those guys have spent a lot of time and money creating these sports betting palaces, frankly, in Las Vegas. And, Atlantic City is pretty much starting from square one. However, there are two new casinos about ready to open next month. One will be a Hard Rock, and that's the old Trump Taj Mahal. Wow. And the other one is called, I think, the Ocean Resort Casino, and that is the old Rebel, which is an absolutely gorgeous building, on a par with anything in Las Vegas. Yeah, exactly what those sports books will look like, it's anyone's guess, frankly. But if they're smart about this, they will make every weekend in the fall an event. And it's a way, Atlantic City's always had the problem that their big season ends on Labor Day. Well, now if they can take bets on football, on NFL, they can extend their season all the way another 3 or 4 months by having these Sunday extravaganzas. And they have a good chance of beating Pennsylvania to the punch, certainly Maryland. So they've got an opportunity in front of them. We'll see if they take advantage of it.
All right, let me broaden this discussion out, Bill, because you're in a unique position to discuss this. Two things. You wrote a book on the business side of FanDuel, fantasy sports, and FanDuel and DraftKings essentially being in a prime position to convert. That's number one. Second of all, do you think that we'll see in other states, if you look over in England and Ireland, places like that, there are betting shops. They're on little betting shops in corners. They're kind of the opposite of what we talked about. Little 7-Eleven type operations where they take sports bets. Is that coming to the United States in some form or fashion in some state somewhere?
No.
No.
I can't imagine that, Nolan. No, not at all. And one of the reasons, apart from, the regulatory issues that, one has in trying to deal with sports wagering on a state-by-state basis, I think all of us who are involved in the gaming world, me, you folks there, have to understand the reality that in another decade, everyone will be wagering on a mobile device.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. Bill, it's an interesting point, because I think, Nolan, to answer your question, I think you have to go back in time and say, if mobile devices and the Internet were available 50 years ago, would those corner shops exist? And I think the answer is clearly no. So I think, just like all the other corner shops in the world, Nolan, they're going the way of the dodo. It's the mega stores, it's the Walmarts, and it's the online, it's the Amazon, and it's going to be no different than sports betting.
Yeah, we're talking at least in this instance of convenience gaming, and the most convenient gaming will be in your pocket.
Well, that's what I say to her all the time, but she never believes me. Oh, sorry, bad.
Yeah, that was an attempt at humor, Bill. So, by the way, before we wrap up this segment, what about the fantasy sports companies? Are they in a position to convert to full-scale sports books?
Short answer is yes. Exactly how they will do it remains to be seen, because when they do daily fantasy, they're doing it nationally in a very liquid pool of participants from sea to shining sea. And if they actually get into sports wagering, they will have to, hew to the laws in each state where they're trying to do this. So, but where they do have expertise is operating in a digital environment, and that's where they have an advantage over traditional casino companies.
Right, Bill, a couple questions, and really I think this is a big question that a lot of people are asking. I think number one is, how much further down the road is the rollout of any form of online sports betting? And my gut feeling is that's way far down the road. And second question to you is, how do you think this is going to affect the offshores who have been providing a service to sports bettors for decades?
Filling the void.
And what does this do for them?
Yeah.
We only have a couple of minutes left on this segment.
Yeah,
but perhaps
I'll
you could
make
take a
it
run
quick.
at that.
Yeah, serially, in terms of online wagering, we expect Pennsylvania to execute that really at any time. They've already passed the regulations on it. So Pennsylvania will have online gaming. New Jersey already has online gaming. But, of course, that's a high hurdle for a lot of jurisdictions. And then the second point that you make, I'm sorry, that second point was, refresh my memory.
The offshore books,
what
what's
it
the
does for
impact?
offshore. The offshore problem has always been the same, getting your money there and getting your money back. And for casual sport, for people who do this all the time, sports bettors who do this all the time, they put up with that aggravation. But, if you want to have casual people, doing this, they don't want to jump through those hoops. So, as far as the offshore guys are concerned, if they're offering a far better deal than the state-regulated places, then they will get the hardcore sports bettors. But the casual sports bettors want the convenience of easy money in, easy money out.
Absolutely, Bill. Well, Bill Ordin, we thank you so much for coming on the show. Would love to have you on again. So, very quickly, give us one name that's going to win the horse race, the Preakness right here, right now.
Justify? Justify.
All right. Justified it is. Bill, thanks so much. We'll chat to you soon. Enjoy the rest of your evening there in Maryland.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Baltimore, Maryland. Cheers.
Thank you.
All right. You're listening to Fifth Street Sports on SB Nation, Sports Byline USA. By the way, big hello to our men and women in uniform listening around the world on the American Forces Network. It is a pleasure and a privilege to speak with you. Give us a call in studio if you want, 800-878-PLAY. And coming up in the next hour, Raymond Davis, poker player, Realgrinders. We'll be right back.
Want to fly somewhere? Looking for cheap flights or cheap tickets? Then call. That's right. Call the low-cost airline travel hotline now for prices so low we can't publish them anywhere. Low-cost airlines has all kinds of cheap travel deals. Fly domestically and save up to 75%. You can even fly internationally and save even more. Yes, fly anywhere in the world and save a lot of money on your plane tickets. We'll even save you money with cheap travel deals on hotels, rental cars, even complete travel packages. So don't book your tickets until you call us first for the absolute cheapest prices on U.S. and international airline tickets and hotels. Call right now for prices so low they can't be published. Travel experts are here 24/7 to help. 800-754-4531. 800-754-4531. 800-754-4531. That's 800-754-4531.
Attention to anyone that's written a book or wants to write a book. The process is not that complicated. Take a first step. Even if you write a page a day, you'll build momentum and your book will become a reality. The hard part is getting it published. That's when you need to call Page Publishing. They've got hundreds and hundreds of thank yous from different new authors, just like you. They make the process of publishing your new book and getting it sold online a simple process. You can learn how simple it is right now by calling for your free Page Publishing New Author Submission Kit. One quick 3-minute phone call, that's all it takes to get free information and learn how you can get your book published. Pick up your phone right now and call us 24 hours a day at this number. 800-603-0885. 800-603-0885. 800-603-0885. That's 800-603-0885.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from Resort Release, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get rid of their expensive timeshares. Once you've made that decision to get rid of your timeshare for any reason, Resort Release is offering a Better Business Bureau accredited way to legally get rid of your timeshare guaranteed. We guaranteed to get rid of your timeshare payments permanently. Even if you've tried another company to get rid of your expensive timeshare, call now and see if we can help you. At Resort Release, you don't pay anything until you're ready. If you're ready to learn how to permanently get rid of your costly timeshare, make this complimentary free call right now.
800-598-0539. 800-598-0539. 800-598-0539. That's 800-598-0539.
We're back here on Fifth Street Sports on Sports Byline SB Nation Radio, YouTube, Twitch, where else? Facebook Live.
Oh, for the first time.
We're on iHeartRadio. We're on TuneIn.com. In fact, if you lick your finger...
Do I have to do that?
Stick it out the window.
I don't have to lick your finger, do I?
Stick it out the window and put your hand on top of your television. You can actually pick up our signal. It's incredible. We come to you everywhere. Isn't that right, Frank?
Yes, sir.
All right, Nick, Frank, and Nolan with you. Brian Allen, Oklahoma Brian, is with us as well. And, well, welcome back to the show. Guys, by the way, before we go any further, I just have to say that we talk about the offshores in the last segment. I want to thank Bill Ordin, by the way, for coming on the show and giving us his Preakness up-to-the-minute insight.
From the roof of Pimlico. How cool is that?
Apparently it's moving, so that's interesting. This is the last year, maybe it's going to be at Pimlico, right?
Right.
But before we get to any of that, we were talking about the offshores, and I want to remind everybody that, you know, all the talks about sports betting, and we're very lucky to be here in Nevada, as you would say it. I say it Nevada. People laugh at me. I can't help it. Sorry. But we're here in Las Vegas.
You talked funny already.
Sports books. Look, you can open your bathroom to go to the toilet, and there's a sports book in there here. But most other parts of the country, that's not the case. So most people that wish to make a small wager, because most of the punters in the world, as we like to call them, will go offshore. And as we recommend betanysports.eu. It's reputable. These are good people. You always get your money. It's not meaning to say you're always going to win, but that's up to you, okay? But right now, if you go to betanysports.eu and sign up and use the affiliate code Fifth Street Sports.
With a 5.
Or Fifth Street. I think it's just Fifth Street is the affiliate code. In the affiliate box. With a 5, you can get a 50% bonus on your deposit up to $1,000. And I know that will buy a lot of money. And I have to tell you, if I'd bet the under today on the FA Cup final, Manchester United-Chelsea, which if you'd listened to Fifth Street Sports Soccer yesterday, you would have heard Nick Webster and I saying, bet the under. Well, you could have done a lot with that $1,000 today because it would have been, I don't know, $2,000 maybe.
I noticed you're always very enthusiastic about your winners, Nick.
Oh,
and
no.
he was a very silent man 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
a very silent man. You think he had laryngitis? He lost his voice.
That was 1-0. That was a great bet, by the way.
In all fairness, though, listen, I've been listening to this for 7 straight weeks. I think you've had 2 losing weeks and 5, and sometimes you hit it out of the park. You were calling the actual scores of games. True props to you.
Thank you.
And Nick Webster, your brother, I think, the 2 Nicks.
Not really, but I've been working with Nick for 20 years. Between Nick and I, we've got nearly 40 years of soccer analysis for the network. So, you know, you'd be doing all right we know a little bit about what we're talking about. But at the end of the Premier League season, it's always a bit of a crapshoot, you know, which way it can go. But having said that, this is all going somewhere, and where this is going is the World Cup. And I want to remind everyone to stay tuned. Tune in to us here at Fifth Street Sports all the time, because we're going to have sort of up-to-the-minute World Cup coverage on a constant basis. I'll be doing this with Nick Webster. We're going to have all sorts of guests from all over the world calling in, and we're going to give you our picks on a real-time basis for the World Cup. So you certainly want to bet that. Just one last note before we get to Brian Allen, because I've got a question for Brian Allen here. There was a great prop bet yesterday on Bet Any Sports. It was plus 2,700 for Manchester United to be down 1-0 at the half and to come back and win it in regulation. and I was very tempted to take that bet, and I would have been really excited because they were down 1-0 at the half. But, of course, they never went on to win it. They didn't score a goal. That was disappointing, but it's, almost.
Was that called a bad beat story?
Yeah,
or
no. It's just the excitement of it. You know, when you place a wager like that, it just changes the way you look at the game. And Brian Allen, there is a segue here.
Is there a question?
Yes.
Is there a question in our future, sir?
And Brian Allen, an interesting article today that I read that I posted on our Facebook page was talking about how this sort of extra interest in sporting events that might not necessarily be of interest to you is going to increase the value of sports franchises because of the passage of this or the Supreme Court's decision. How do you feel about that?
Well, I 100% agree with that. And if that is the case, why do we need to pay the integrity fee if the value of these franchises is, as Mark Cuban puts it, doubling the moment that the Supreme Court decision is read? I think it's a completely accurate analysis of where things are going with this. And hey, I'm happy for the guys that own the sports teams. Yeah. Now stop asking for 1% because, and I'll get to this later in the show, I am 100% skeptical of the potential of this expansion of sports betting to solve our societal and state budget shortfalls. But
well, let's dive
certainly
into it.
Let's get right elaborate on that, Brian. What do you mean?
Well, I think as it is for sports betting, you guys all live in Vegas, and I'm certainly in Vegas a lot during the course of a year. When I walk into a sports book, besides a clock is the hardest thing to find in a sports book. You're in a casino. You can never find a clock in a casino. The second hardest thing to find in a casino is the sports book, right? It's like an Easter egg hunt trying to find the sports book. They're always tucked in the back of the casino, and that's for a reason. Pound for pound is the weakest performing part of a casino, right? The theoretical hold on a good year is 4 or 5%, right? Lower certainly can be lower. I think it's the least profitable form of gambling, and it's not a surprise that casinos go out of their way to minimize the size of sports books. It's oftentimes tucked in the back of the casino. And they don't take bets from everyone, right? I don't know. As I look at Frank, hey, Frank, can you walk into any casino in Vegas and bet whatever you want?
No.
On anything you want?
No. I've actually walked into several casinos, and they had a $4,000 max. In fact, you gave me the games. They were MAC games. You gave me the under because the weather was real bad. I was at the Wynn, and I asked the writer, what are you guys taking on these college football games under? I was with my wife, and they said, well, it's 4,000 on the totals. So I said, all right, give me all 6 games. I gave him the game numbers. Give me a 4,400 under on each one of the 6 games. So he went and got approval from the guy two guys back there sitting with suit and ties, just not doing nothing. They don't pay attention to nothing. So they came up to the window and they said, oh, I'm sorry. Once they ran my red card, we'll give you 1,100. I said, what are you talking about? You just told me 4,400. They go, not for you. I said, what do you mean not for me? And it's like walking into a Best Buy and you see a 70-inch TV there for $9.95, and you tell the guy, I'll take 6. He goes, no, he can have 6, but you can only have 1. It's their product. It's their product, right?
Hey, just a second. Just a second. I don't agree with anything Frank just said, because whenever I walk into a sports book, they're lining up and they got smiles on their faces. They roll out the red carpet. They send a limousine for me.
No, they
helicopter.
But they actually treated me like it was 9/12.
No, I know what you mean.
Like it was 9/12, and I had a towel on my
heat,
head.
Yeah,
you know
sure.
what I mean?
Right.
Like the day after 9/11, you walk in there with like a turban on your head. That's how I got treated. And I said, but it's your product. Your product says under 54.5. You're taking 4,400. I'm just trying to buy your product. So I'm with you, Brian. These people think that they're going to open up these sports books and make all this money, and sports books actually have losing months.
Yeah, and so I'll expand on that. So now we take a form of bookmaker, gambling, that's relatively low in terms of the household. You've got a finite amount of recreational gambling dollars. You're going to cannibalize the lottery and other forms of gambling that already exist. I'm no fan of the lottery either, but the bottom line is gambling in general, when it's a mechanism to support the state, is a floor tax. And I hate to say it, but this is going to be there's going to be a lot of negative social impacts as a result of this. It's not going to provide the revenue that states think it will. And other than that, it should be a lot of fun.
I disagree with you, Brian, but I will say this. I do agree on one section. I mean, as much as I play it, can you believe I've never won the lottery yet? Well, I haven't won it yet. I mean, what's wrong?
No, because there's an old saying,
what's wrong? You're playing the lottery.
No, but remember that old saying, what has 6 balls and rapes Mexicans?
Oh, no.
The lottery.
Okay. Oh. That is awful. Is that a Donald Trump?
Oh, that's so bad.
Do we have a button we can press and just cut that last 10 seconds out?
All
right. Send your hate mail to frankperez.com. frankperez.com. All your hate mail.
Oh dear.
We need security over here.
Oh dear.
All right. There's my mulligan. There's my mulligan for the show.
Yeah, you get one mulligan on the show.
All right, but hey, listen.
I'll tell you what, though.
Brian, I disagree with you because I think at the end of the day, it's going to bring in, I think the people that play the lottery and the people that are going to go bet on sports are not necessarily the same type of person, okay? The person that plays the lottery wants to pick 6 or however many numbers they pick, 6, right? Wants to pick 6 numbers and hit the mega, and that's it. And there's really no skill involved. It's pure luck. The person that bets on sports likes to think of themselves as a sports analyst, a sports expert, or somebody that's vested in their team heavily. It's a different type of gambling. It's a different type of person. I think it's going to open up the market. Where I do think Mark Cuban is absolutely correct in terms of the valuation of the sports franchises. But it's not just sports franchises. It's the value of sports in this country in general is going to go up. And I'll just make this last observation before we kick it over for the segment here. Everyone in England and Europe talks very arrogantly about their promotion and relegation battles they have in their leagues. And if you don't know what that means, in soccer, for example, the top 3 teams from the lower league comes up to the top team, to the top league, and the bottom 3 teams at the top. It's like getting chucked out of the NFL and going to have to play CFL, basically,
right?
If you don't do well. And it makes for some very, very, very exciting matchups along the way and exciting, meaningful games when it wouldn't otherwise be, like, the last 2 teams playing each other in the NBA. Who cares as you get into the last days of the season? But the excitement isn't because people want to see teams drop. It just creates more gambling opportunities. And what I think is going to happen is it makes the entire run of a particular sports season more intense for the sports viewer if he's putting a little, or he or she putting a little bit of money on a particular game. It makes those sort of meaningless end-of-season games mean something to a lot more people. Means more viewers, more eyeballs, more money for sponsors.
Well, hang on, but that's not your. Okay, we agree on that. I'm not saying that people aren't going to love betting on sports. I totally agree with that. I'm just saying that it is not going to be the revenue producer that states think it's going to be, and if they do, then they're going to tax it to the point that it's no longer profitable, like Pennsylvania's stating.
Well, that's what they're going to. Well, in that regard, I agree with you. They're going to tax the living you-know-what out of it, okay, because it's another revenue source. But I think they will see revenue out of it, Brian. We'll have to agree to disagree, and most importantly, wait with a great deal of eagerness to actually watch how it unfolds and how it happens. You're listening to Fifth Street Sports, Sports Byline USA, SB Nation Radio. Nikki, Frank Perez, Nolan Dalla.
That was a quick hour.
Oklahoma, Brian. Folks, we're going to step aside, take a very quick break. When we come back, we're going to wrap up this hour. Next hour, World Series of Poker's coming up. If you like to play poker, and we all do, some better than others, I might add, we're going to be joined by Raymond Davis from Realgrinders, a professional poker player. Raymond's got loads of experience. He's going to tell you how to get ready for the World Series of Poker. He's going to tell us all about Realgrinders. That's coming up. We'll also be joined by World Series of Poker bracelet winner Brian Wilson. Okay, we're going to step aside, take a break. Be right back to wrap up the hour here on Fifth Street Sports.
Rebuild or replace transmission, $3,200. Anti-lock brake system, $1,000. Rebuild or replace engine,
Sounding good, guys.
Truth is, once your manufacturer's warranty runs out, it's all on you. Every last cent. Get protection for covered repairs with a vehicle service contract from Toco Warranty. Unlike other companies, with Toco, there's no down payment, and the monthly payments are really affordable. Not sure how long you're keeping your car? At Toco, you can pay as you go. Keep your hard-earned cash and call Toco Warranty right now at 800-222-2313 to save big money on covered auto repairs. Prices vary by vehicle, but for about the cost of a tank of gas per month, a Toco plan has your back on expensive covered car repairs. Monthly payments are very affordable. Get your free quote now. Call Toco at 800-222-2313. That's 800-222-2313. 800-222-2313. Cancellation fee may apply. Subject to eligibility. Not available in Missouri and Washington. Waiting period and deductible apply. Coverage provided and administered by Warrantech Corporation or its affiliates. Not affiliated with any manufacturer or dealership. Visit TocoWarranty.com for complete terms and conditions.
If you suffer from back pain, joint pain, arthritis, or other chronic pain, you need to try the water therapy benefits that Advantage Therapeutic Walk-In Bath provides. Not only does Advantage Walk-In Bath help get you in and out of the tub safely, it is proven to be beneficial to relieve aches and pains, giving you the relief to enjoy your day. You can enjoy taking your new bath and rejuvenating your body in as little as 7 days. And if you call today and ask for the radio special, we'll give you a $1,500 coupon towards the purchase of a new Vantage walk-in bath. Every call in the next 10 minutes will receive a $1,500 coupon towards the purchase of a new Vantage walk-in bath. Your aches and pains can be washed away. Call right now for a risk-free quote. 800-552-6851. 800-552-6851. 800-552-6851. That's 800-552-6851.
Are you an inventor who would like to try to have an invention or idea patented and submitted to companies, but you don't know what to do next? Call for free information from InventHelp. InventHelp, a leading inventor service company, has been helping inventors since 1984 and has sales offices located in more than 60 cities nationwide. You'll want to talk to the company that has helped secure more than 7,000 invention patents. So call InventHelp. Even if you have an idea for improving an existing product and don't know where to go with it, you'll still want to call InventHelp for free information. You'll find out how InventHelp may assist you in trying to patent your invention and submit it to companies. So call now.
Call InventHelp at 1-800-316-1738. That's 1-800-316-1738. Get your free information by dialing 1-800-316-1738. That's 1-800-316-1738. 1-800-316-1738.
No, I'm not making...
That
probably
shouldn't
caught
have
us
gone out
talking.
All right. Welcome back to the show, History Sports, Sports Byline, USA Nation Radio. Nick Eber, Frank Perez, Nolan Dalla. Frank Lopez not here with us today. He's actually was killed by Tony Montana in Scarface. He will not be
Tony Montana's brother-in-law.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Manolo, right? Manolo, yeah. Brian Allen with us in Oklahoma. Been a great hour. Want to thank Bill Ordin for joining us from Pimlico for the Preakness. His rundown, also a nice, healthy, hearty discussion of the Supreme Court decision. By the way, I hear all sorts of radio stations, radio networks, TV stations, TV networks, sports networks discussing the implications. I will say 99% of them are complete wimps and cowards. Okay.
What do you mean, Nick?
Well, you know, they have avoided this topic like the plague for all these years. It's like the sports leagues. You know, they hate it, they fight it, and then it passes. All of a sudden they want their piece of the action. There's so many hypocrites out there in this great world of gambling and sports betting that we live in. Don't support the hypocrites. Support the people that have been bringing this to you when it was not cool and when it's cool, when it wasn't profitable and when it's profitable. Those are the people that deserve your attention and your eyeballs, viewership, listenership. And, of course, I put us in on that, but that's okay.
Yeah.
But, you know, don't listen to the Johnny-come-latelys, okay? That's all I can say.
Oh, real quick on that. I watched a PTI episode, which is, pardon the interruption, the Wilbon, Tony Kornheiser, both Washington Post writers. I was astounded at the ignorance that they're talking about this topic on sports gambling, and they finally come into this thing, Johnny come lately, as you say, but nobody has a clue on the network. You have very few gambling experts. Right. This is going to be a huge thing, game changer.
Well, I'd like to put that sign up in front of the door. The sports betting doctors, well, they are in. So stay tuned here. We'll be right back. Hour number 2, Fifth Street Sports. Sports Byline SB Nation Radio. We'll be joined by Raymond Davis and Brian Wilson. We're going to talk Realgrinders and World Series of Poker. We'll be right back.
All right, you're clear.
For USA Radio News, I'm Rick Vincent.
All I can tell all you people out there is pray. That's what we need right now, guys, is just pray for Santa Fe ISD and all the schools.
On Friday morning, a 17-year-old student armed with a shotgun and a pistol stormed Santa Fe High School about 30 miles southeast of Houston and opened fire in an art class. He killed at least 10 people and wounded 10 others, including a school resource officer who was left in critical condition before surrendering to the officers who confronted him. Texas Governor Greg Abbott says he'll assemble a roundtable to suggest solutions to the problem of mass shootings.
We will assemble all stakeholders to begin to work immediately on swift solutions to prevent tragedies like this from ever happening again.
The teenager, whom students described as a quiet loner, was held without bond at the Galveston County Jail, charged with capital murder and aggravated assault on a peace officer. It was unclear what motivated the attack. You're listening to USA Radio News.
Medicare rules are confusing. They should be. There are over 130,000 pages of regulations. There's Part A through D, Medicare Advantage, and Medigap. According to the CMS, there are government programs available that can help you pay for your medical expenses. Choosing the right Medicare plan is a really big deal. The wrong choice can cost you a lot of money, and the right choice can put more money in your pocket. Call one of our licensed representatives today. At 65 Plus Medicare, our free service can show you a plan that will maximize your Medicare benefits, ensure you are taking advantage of all available government assistance programs, and save you money. Call now.
800-635-6303. 800-635-6303. 800-635-6303. That's 800-635-6303.
Dental benefits listed may be available on all plans or in a single benefit package. Enrollment in the described plan type may be limited to certain times of the year unless you qualify for a special enrollment period. No obligation to enroll.
The cheers and jeers are all over the spectrum after the House of Representatives failed to pass its version of the Farm Bill following a raucous debate this week. In today's weekly Democratic address, Ohio Congresswoman Marcia Fudge said Democrats opposed the bill's expanded work and job training requirements for food stamp recipients.
It would waste billions on redundant and unproven training bureaucracies that our states have told us that they cannot operate effectively.
The setback adds to the possibility of an extension that could complicate farmers' ability to switch commodity programs next fall for their base acres. A shooting Friday night in a parking lot across the street from a high school graduation ceremony in Clayton County, Georgia, left one woman dead, a second wounded, and a pregnant woman trampled. And while no arrests have been made, investigators have at least one suspect.
The graduation had concluded, and some parties gathered, an argument ensued, and that led to gunshots being fired. And two individuals were injured.
That's Thomas Trawick, head of Clayton County School Security. This is USA Radio News.
The following update is for drivers who pay too much for car insurance due to DUIs, DWIs, tickets, or anything else. Our company specializes in low-cost SR22 auto insurance. We know that mistakes happen and offer free quotes for very affordable auto insurance meant specifically for you, the overpaying high-risk driver. The quote is free, and we'll handle the filing so you can start saving money. Call 800-758-0725. 800-758-0725. 800-758-0725.
Former President Jimmy Carter was this year's commencement speaker at Liberty University. He told the some 18,000 graduates at the Christian University that universal human rights haven't been realized, but he believes modern technology, including social media, can be used to better society.
We evangelical Christians, and I consider myself to be one of them, must use this world coming together and communicating instantly with each other to promote the word of gospel about Jesus Christ.
Carter is the third U.S. president Liberty has hosted for commencement, and the first Democrat. George H.W. Bush spoke in 1990, while Donald Trump spoke last year. Britain's Prince Harry and American actress Meghan Markle are now married after a ceremony today at Windsor Castle's St. George Chapel. The newly minted Duchess of Sussex was married in a gown by Claire Waite-Keller for Givenchy. Sterling Volandes is editor-in-chief of Town & Country magazine.
I think that easy elegance is really what Meghan has become known for. There's a sleek modernity to it. Givenchy was a surprise. The bets were really on Stella McCartney or Burberry. First, they were on Ralph and Russo, who had designed her engagement photo dress.
In the scheme of things, this particular marriage is not all that important. Harry is only sixth in line to the throne, but Ms. Markle is a highly unusual royal bride. She's American, divorced, 3 years older than Harry, had a high-profile career, and is biracial. For USA Radio News, I'm Rick Vincent.
Here's an urgent alert from the
All right, stand by, gentlemen, an hour or two.
average student loan debt is $25,000. Have you been out of college for 10 or more years and you're still making your student loan payments? If you are struggling with paying off your student loan, if you are past due, Nationwide Student Loan Relief can now restructure your student loans. We can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop harassing collection calls, even eliminate your student loan payment. If you can't afford your student loans, or if you're past due and you need help, you must call right now. We will restructure your loan or your money back, and that's a guarantee. So call the Student Loan Hotline right now. 800-949-8707, 800-949-8707, 800-949-8707, 800-949-8707.
All right, welcome back to the show, Fifth Street Sports, here on Sports Byline SB Nation Radio. I'm Nick Gieber. Today, right now, I'm actually joined by Raymond Davis from Realgrinders, and you might ask yourself, what is Realgrinders? Tell me all about it. I'm going to do just that, but you're just going to have to wait until the next segment. But meantime, Raymond Davis joins me. We'll be rejoined by Nolan Dalla, Frank Perez, and we'll be rejoined by Oklahoma Brian, and we'll be also joined by Brian Wilson, 2005 World Series of Poker pot limit hold'em winner, bracelet winner. We're going to talk to Brian Wilson as well. So it's going to be a lot of poker this hour. I hope you enjoy it. Hope you'll stay with us here on Fifth Street Sports. I want to remind you that we are coming to you on the Sports Byline USA Network. We're coming to you on SB Nation Radio, and we're coming to you also on American Forces. So big hello to our men and women in uniform around the world listening on American Forces, because we love you, and we appreciate everything you do. As a veteran myself, I want to thank you all for your service. And I don't know what you're saying, Raymond, but we'll get there. No, you didn't. You're okay. Want to thank everybody for listening, and also want to mention to you that you can reach us in studio, 800-878-PLAY. That's 800-878-PLAY. And that you can find us on Twitter at World Soccer Radio, and Facebook at facebook.com/ did I say World Soccer Radio? What is wrong with me? My mind. You know, I did that show for like 14 years. You need to start. It just comes out of me. No, it's not. It's Twitter, Fifth Street Sports, and it's Facebook, facebook.com/ Fifth Street Sports Talk. So I apologize for that. I did a show the other day where I introduced the guest as myself and myself as the guest. So maybe I need to see a doctor. Yes. I don't know. But all right, we're going to step aside, take a very quick break. We'll be right back to kick off hour number 2. It's all poker. It's World Series of Poker. It's Realgrinders. It's, hey, if you love the game, you're going to love this hour. So stay with us here on Fifth Street Sports.
Travelers, do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call.
because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at ridiculously low prices. Our prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find ridiculously low prices for you. Call SmartFares today and get the best price on your next flight. Guaranteed. Also, save up to 50% off business and first class tickets.
855-325-1780. 855-325-1780.
Scott, what's
That's
up?
855-1780.
Nothing.
Yeah, you just keep drifting off mic every once in a while.
I'm sorry, what was that, Scott?
I said you were drifting
Oh, I
off
see what you're
mic
saying. Okay, yeah.
occasionally.
Yeah, got you.
Can you hear me?
593-7491. When you call, you'll speak with a Social Security disability expert and get a free evaluation to see if you may qualify for disability insurance benefits from the U.S. government. That's right, a monthly cash payment paid directly to you from the Social Security Administration. Whether you're applying for the first time or you've already been denied disability benefits, call now. The disability attorneys at Pinnacle Disability can help you build your case, file an appeal, and represent you at no upfront cost to you. Don't wait another minute to see if you may qualify for your Social Security disability benefits. Call Pinnacle Disability Group at 800-593-7491 for your free case evaluation. That's 800-593-7491. 800-593-7491. Call now.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-754-4531. 800-754-4531. That's 800-754-4531.
The U.S. Senior Open Championship returns to Colorado Springs during the Broadmoor Centennial Celebration. Don't miss your chance to see Tom Watson, Fred Couples, Davis Love III, Kenny Perry, Bernhard Langer, and John Daly as they compete for the most sought-after title in the senior game. Ticket prices start at just $20. Get yours today at 2018USSeniorOpen.com.
It's on the Sports Byline SB Nation Radio Network. It's great to be with you, Nick Eber, Nolan Dowler, Frank Perez, finally joining us in the studio here after a long absence. God knows where they were. Brian, Oklahoma Brian, joining us from, well, of all places, Oklahoma. And we are very pleased to have in the studio with us Raymond Davis from Realgrinders, professional poker player. Raymond, good for you to join us today.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
We've got a lot to talk about, Ray, because the World Series of Poker is coming up. And it's a big event. Obviously, in the poker world, it is the big event. Now, you've got a lot of people in this studio who have a lot of experience at the World Series of Poker, including our editor-in-chief, Mr. Nolan Dowler, who spent, nearly 20 years?
Over 20 years.
20 years, yeah. It's funny. I have such a... It's like a family, the World Series of Poker. It's a love-hate thing, and I mean, there's a grind, and there's so much going on there, but boy, a lot of great people. And by the way, Raymond, I have to ask you something. For those of us maybe around who are listening that aren't familiar with Realgrinders, it's such a unique concept that you came up with this website, this community, this family, this support network. Talk about what Realgrinders is.
Oh, well, basically, in poker, poker kind of went away from the small guy, and I want to give the small guy some publicity and give him a voice, give him a face. So I says, hey, let's form a group where it's regular people. It's not people buying in 50,000. It's people buying in 500 and 200 when the money means something to them. When a win actually means something, life-changing money. So it was. The idea, the concept came from, we got so many of these people in poker world. So you're talking about 99.5% of the people in poker are just novice, small-time players. So why didn't they have a voice? Why did we give, all the big names all the attention? So I said, let's do real grinders, real people with real jobs, real poker player with real families, and not living in a fantasy world. Nobody's talking about buying in 50,000, 100,000, 1 million. We're talking about going to your local bar or your local casino, buying in 100, 200, and grinding it out. So real grinders. That kind of like evolved, snowballed even bigger than I thought it would. We got 17,000 members. We could have 30 if we wanted, but we select certain people to be in a group. It's exclusive, and we're doing good. We had 2 tournament series at Venetian. We had a tournament series at Commerce. We had a tournament series at Hollywood Park, and they're small buy-ins that give people, like a Hollywood Park through an event, $100 buy-in. First place was $30,000. And these guys are just your mom and pop novice players that $30,000 will really mean something, and losing 100 could really hurt them, because these guys got regular jobs and stuff like that. So,
and sometimes they don't have a job.
Right. It's like a family atmosphere too. Yeah. You got Terry King in there. You got Jackie Wesley. You got several people that get kind of close to their members. A lot of relationships been formed in there with women and guys and met up in the group and stuff like that. That happens quite a bit. But so say you're coming to Las Vegas, or you're coming to, so poker players, when they travel, they have no one. They're traveling, they go to their room, maybe they bring their wife, or maybe they don't, or they want to see a show. But now with real grinders, you actually know people in the town you go to. So when these guys come out to the World Series and they're wearing patches, I'm already familiar with half the group or whatever.
Yeah, that's my friend.
Right. So you got a familiarity with them.
That's so
where tournament directors and staff was just, let's rake as much as we can, forget these guys, get them out of here, or whatever.
What you're doing though, Raymond, is so cool, because when people think poker, they see these events on TV, the World Series of Poker, the World Poker Tour, the European Poker Tour for people over in Europe, and all these gigantic figures with a bunch of zeros attached.
Right.
Poker really was built by grinders, people that you represent.
The small people.
And it's really mushroomed into this I would call it a group that's really the base core of what's built this game into the American pastime.
Right.
Okay, what is your vision for Real Grinders? I know it's like outgrown what you thought it would become.
Totally outgrown.
What do you envision for this going forward?
We're just getting bigger and bigger. We're incorporated now. We got a business mode. We're doing more tours. We'll have online poker for prizes or whatever. We're looking to have a sports book, everything legal. With the new law that passed with the government. And we just want to be a community that offers something to our players and show that we care, and which we do. Like I say, even though it's 17,000 members in the group, I know basically 1,000 of them, and I never saw them, and I know them like the back of my hand.
Yeah, right.
Facebook,
and you do interact with people.
Right.
You answer everybody's questions
Right.
and talk and discuss it.
Right.
By the way, I have to add something. Nick Geber and I were over at your office because you opened up something across the street from the Rio,
A
right
lounge.
across from Valley
Yeah.
View, literally within walking distance to the World Series of Poker. Your office, your world headquarters
Right.
is right there at the Rio.
Right.
And I think that's the coolest thing. It's a cool thing. If you're coming to Las Vegas in June, July, join Real Grinders. Go there and visit. You'll see the great Raymond Davis.
Right.
But I have to now give you some. I have to give you some bad stuff. That is, sir, is the. I don't know if you get the camera on this. That is the ugliest shirt. That is the ugliest shirt
You like that?
I have ever seen. And for those of you listening worldwide on radio, the great Raymond Davis has a picture of Mr. Alan Kessler. Anybody in poker knows the name Alan Kessler. Raymond, why do you have a picture of Alan Kessler?
Okay, hold on. I'm
All
going
right.
to hold you on that because I know there's a whole story here. I want to get to the story. But before we do, I want to bring in 2 more guests. You talk about family.
Oh,
we
my
have an
goodness.
extended family. So let's go ahead and bring in, start back with Oklahoma Brian. Let's bring Oklahoma Brian back in. I think he's with us. You there, Brian?
I'm here.
Okay, so we have a lot of Brians here, and I also want to bring in a guy that's been a big part of Fifth Street Sports behind the scenes. Big-time poker player, won the Pot Limit Hold'em bracelet in 2005. Gold bracelet winner, Mr. Brian Wilson, the rookie, who's no longer a rookie, by the way. I mean,
He's a pro now.
At some point, you go from being a rookie to a gray hair, a silverback.
No relation to the Beach Boys.
But Brian Wilson, do we have Brian there? Well, all that whole thing, we don't even have Brian.
Well, we'll get Brian on.
Yeah, we'll get him.
Let's get
Oh
over
no,
Brian.
we got him. We got him. Okay, there he is. We got Brian. We got everybody. It's a big happy family here.
No wonder the Cubs lost today. He got the shirt on.
That's right. That's right.
Easy now, easy.
Yeah. All right. So
Let's hope they don't lose twice to the worst team in baseball.
He's already digging him. I love it.
All right, guys. We got 2 minutes. I don't want to get into the Alan Kessler thing because there's a whole
This is gonna
story
be
there.
a
It's a lot
war.
of fun. A lot of fun. But before we do. Before we get into that in some detail, Brian, why don't you tell us what's been going on with you in terms of... I'm talking about Brian Wilson now. I should probably preface all of this.
Mr. Wilson.
We'll just call him Oklahoma and Mr. Wilson. How's that?
Right.
Mr. Wilson.
Sounds like a law firm.
Yeah, I know. Oklahoma and Mr. Wilson. And no, Trickum, Dickum, and Dunkum. I don't know. Anyway, Mr. Wilson, tell us about what do you got planned this year at the World Series?
Well, I'm also a member of Realgrinders, and I love what Ray does with the group. It's really something unique, and it's something needed out there in the poker world, because I agree that the big names in poker were taking up all the time, and the little guys were getting left by the wayside. But I'm planning 1 or 2 trips out this year to the World Series of Poker, play 4 or 5 different events, play the tag team event. They've got a lot of new events this year. They've got a big ante event, a marathon, a bounty, a tag team. So there's a lot of new stuff at the World Series. They're really trying to change it up, and just looking to do some new things and see some old friends.
Well, that's a lot. That's a lot of what goes on at the World Series. It's people seeing old friends, old buddies, making new friends. It's really, I mean, poker's a very social game, and Raymond, I mean, your whole thing is very social. That we're going to get to
collecting on money that's owed to them.
Yeah. Exactly, precisely. But it is very much like a gathering, a get-together of all good old buddies. It is. If you've
never been to the World Series, I suggest you come down. Even if you can't afford it and play the side events, the $200, or even if you just be in town. The electricity in town during the World Series is
talk to you about that shirt in a minute.
unbelievable.
All right, we'll be back. Fifth Street Sports. Nick Eber, Nolan Dalla, Frank Perez. We're here with Raymond Davis. We got Oklahoma Brian Wilson, the rookie. Oh, gosh, so many of us here. We'll be right back after this.
Hi, I'm Dr. Robert Clapper, Chief of...
Hey, Nick? Nick?
Important element in keeping your body's core in good shape to minimize sports injuries. But when you are in pain, there is one product that I recommend to my patients, and that is Blue Goo Gel. Blue Goo consists of a proprietary formula developed specifically for the treatment of inflammation and general muscle aches and strains. I recommend Blue Goo for my patients coping with hip and knee pain before surgery.
Hello? 1, 2. Scott, are you there?
You get 2 queens. The guy's all in.
Okay, you asked for Nick. He's there.
Relax, you know what I mean?
Is Raymond our guest? Is his vocals good?
They don't have like limit hold.
I can't even hear him.
You can barely hear him. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We're working on that at this end. Okay. We're working on it right now.
Visit online at www.dothe.goo.com.
Now available at select Big 5 stores near you.
So Raymond,
Do you use the blue pill to charge your sex life? Have you been thinking about trying the blue pill? What if we can promise...
No, I don't mean yell. I didn't say yell.
If you're paying for the other
Yo.
talking to the cleaners. Our pill delivers the exact same results for less than...
Yo.
Test 1, 2.
Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2.
Want more? We'll give you 40 blue
Test
pills
1, 2.
or 40 yellow pills for $99 and...
Test.
Scott's talking.
Move him to a mic that works.
He's on a mic that works.
For just not...
Well, I'm telling you, I can't hear him. So
all right.
Pills. Call us and start saving a ton of money.
Hey, Nick, you can take a seat here. You can take the seat.
John
It's not a big deal.
800-223-0992.
Want me to move it?
800-223-0992.
No, I'm in charge.
800-223-0992. That's 800-223-0992.
Results may vary, not a solicitation for legal services. If you owe the IRS back taxes, payroll taxes, or have not,
All right, let's see what he sounds like.
IRS will get you. They can take your property, take you to court, even put you in jail. One call to Wall and Associates, and your tax problems are solved. Wall has saved clients over $150 million in the last 5 years. Our average client settled.
All right, 30 seconds. Hopefully you got it fixed.
With one call to Wall, you'll never need to talk to the IRS again.
Thing.
We offer
And
free
Raymond is in.
face-to-face consultations in
He
your
can't hear
local
me.
area. Remember, Wall has a proven track record with a total client savings over $150 million. Call
All right, stand by. Hopefully it's going to work out.
800-813-9940. 800-813-9940. 800-813-9940.
Welcome back. This is Fifth Street Sports from the basement of Las Vegas, and we're here with the great Raymond Davis from Realgrinders. Also with us, Brian Wilson and Oklahoma Brian, Frank Perez. Nick Geber has stepped away to take care of some errands. Wow, this has been such an amazing thing with Realgrinders and what you've accomplished. I'm going to throw it over to Brian Wilson. Brian, are you there with me?
I'm here.
All right, so you said you joined Realgrinders. I mean, you're a professional poker player. You've been around this scene for a long time. You've seen it all from the highs and the lows. What was it about Realgrinders that attracted you to join as a member? Maybe we get some listeners out there that'll be curious to join as well. What was it about Realgrinders that brought you to that group?
Well, it was a fun community. It kind of brought the fun back into poker again. And you know, you can remember back in the days when you were starting out, kind of learning some things and things weren't going right, and you kind of leaned on your friends and stuff. And that's what I like about Realgrinders. If you've got a question or you need some help with something, you've got people you can go to that have been through the same situation, that have solved that or asked a friend the same question. So like Ray was saying, if there's somebody coming out to Vegas and they don't quite know where to go or what tournaments are good, you know, you can reach out to other people in the community and try to figure out what's going to work for you. So it's just a way to learn, a way to enjoy the game a little more. And there's all kinds of different variety of people that play. Part-time people, retired people, people playing full-time, but they can all get something out of a group like Realgrinders.
No, that's a great point. What about the synergy between sports gamblers and poker players? There's obviously a lot of crossover. I remember reading Barry Greenstein's book, and he was talking about leaks. And he said a lot of poker players, very successful poker players, have bad leaks. And I think that's true. We'll talk about some leaks here in a minute, Mr. You know, we'll talk about that in a moment.
A handful of them.
A handful. But sports gambling can be a leak, but it's not necessarily a leak. Right. Talk about the synergy and the relationship, the crossover between sports gambling and poker.
You know, sports and poker kind of like goes together. It's been going together. I mean, you was at the World Series for 20 years. People always bet in sports. It's a different. It's about the same level of excitement, and you know, I mean, when you're like got a bet going or you got a hand going, it's the same people. So it kind of blends together. You can blend sports together. So Realgrinders is actually we push for sports, we push for poker, we push for video poker, anything casino related. We kind of push for that, and our platform is just growing and growing and growing. We're actually going outside of poker, and we're going more towards sports too. I mean, poker was our basis, but now we're finna build hugely around sport. We're dealing with some celebrities, some sports celebrities that we're in negotiation, making contracts.
We got our own clothing line for it. That's the
what an ugly shirt.
Which you'll see more of this. You know this Alan Kessler shirt.
Okay, so talk about the Alan Kessler shirt.
This Alan Kessler shirt.
Yeah.
I made it last year as a prank 2 years ago. 2 years ago I made this as a prank when Realgrinders just opened. And I made like 50 of them. They went like wildfires. People was buying them. And then James Woods. I saw James Woods at
the actor James Woods, the real actor.
Brian Wilson got one, but I saw the actor James Woods. I'm standing in line at the World Series. He looks at the shirt. He said, "You got to get me that." So now James Woods puts on the shirt and he tweets it. Now I got 50 more orders for the shirt. So now we're coming out this year with our new Alan Kessler. It's kind of like mocking him. You know, let me look at the picture. So it's kind of like mocking him. It's all in good nature because Alan. I mean, he is what he is. He's a nerd.
You know, my thing was, and I'll go to Brian Wilson in a second to follow up on this, but I'll say one thing. I worked on the World Series of Poker circuit and the World Series of Poker, as you know, for a decade and and all this. And I would see Alan Kessler, say what you will about him, very detail-oriented, very, he's always out there and very nitpicky.
Right.
But he paid his dues.
Oh, yeah.
He was out there and he was playing in North Carolina. He was playing in Lake Tahoe and he was playing in Florida. He would go around.
He went to every hole in the wall on this planet.
Anybody deserved it. Yeah, right. He paid his dues, every hole in the wall on the planet. Brian Wilson, what do you think about this? I know you're dying to talk.
I agree. And I used to see Alan everywhere. The guy was everywhere. If there was a big tournament series going on, he was there. And I want to say right now, that I've been trying to challenge Alan Kessler to a $10,000 heads-up match at this year's World Series of Poker. And I cannot get a response from Alan.
What, he just doesn't respond, or what?
I can't get a hold of the guy, but if he sees this,
I'll text you his number. I should give it over the air.
Give it over the air. Do it.
There it is. The challenge has been laid.
What do you think a first print signed Alan Kessler shirt could go up to?
This one with me wearing it, signed
only
it,
50.
went up to 700.
What?
Yeah, it sold for
I'm
$700.
going to grab you and I'm going to sell this thing. I'm going to grab you.
This one with my signature on it.
Are you kidding me?
It went for $700.
$700 for a T-shirt?
I jokingly did an auction in Realgrinders.
You got to be.
I figured it was going to get $60, $70, and I said this is for the kids to help the neighborhood kids or whatever. Shoes, snacks, whatever. The shirt went for $700.
It's going to be like a Hornus Wagner because there's only.
Oh, Hornus Wagner, like the dice ball card,
because
right?
there's only 50 of these. Okay, so now you're down to 49.
Right.
Now if he signs it, and a few of them get washed and lost in the thing, I mean, this shirt could really go up in value.
Right. I'm gonna win. I figured I'd win the main event in this shirt.
Well, worst things can happen, Raymond. All right, so Brian Allen, I hope you're there. Real quick point before we go to break. Real quick on this. I'd like to hear Brian Allen's thought. We talk about legalization of sports, gambling in the United States, maybe more states coming on board. Is this good or bad for online poker, specifically online poker? My thought was there's only so much money in the gambling pool. There's only so many gamblers. There's only so much discretionary income available. I'm not so sure that if everybody's betting $20 on the Packers, that they'll have money to fuel their online gambling account. Before we go to Raymond and get his opinion, Oklahoma Brian, what are your thoughts, sir?
Yeah, I generally agree. I think it does hurt poker, but I think the good poker sites will make deals to co-brand themselves and make alliances that will set them ahead of the pack. So I think it's an opportunity for the good poker sites, but in general, I think it does cannibalize on poker somewhat.
You agree?
I think with the legalization of this sports betting and stuff like this, I think the Wire Act could actually be affected, which is what destroyed poker, online poker. I think they got to tinker it because now it's going to be legal to to send money.
Oh, that's a very good point. The 1961 Wire Act, which was supposedly enacted to stop the flow of not just betting, but information across state lines, which is kind of weird because we have the internet now, and you're already sending information across state lines.
I actually think it's going to be a backdoor for online poker to become totally legal.
Oh, so this is a good thing.
I think it's a great thing for poker because it goes together. Online sports, online poker, it all goes together.
All right, Brian.
some of the best poker sites to play on were the poker sites that had the big sports books back in the day. Because you had all these sports betting guys that were crossing over to play poker when there was no sports to bet on. So there was more action on those sites. And I think once the regulation and legalization is all done for the sports betting, then it's going to be easy to add poker. So I think poker will be added after the fact, but because everything else is already set up, I think it'll be easy to do.
I 100% agree. I 100% agree.
Add
they
something
can just attach poker to this.
Go ahead. Brian Allen, you there? Go ahead.
Yeah, so I just wanted to add something. My pessimistic outlook towards the state revenue side of sports betting doesn't mean that I don't think that it's going to be a big thing. I do. And I also think that it's 2018. Cryptocurrency is still in its infancy. I think in 5 years, the average person understands how to use and send cryptocurrency. And I think it's a whole new ballgame. I think offshore betting, offshore poker are the big winners in the long run with this, with this Supreme Court decision.
But Brian, I'm kind of with you. Nick just told me about how much it's going to cost for a gaming license versus because I think that these states and a lot of these senators and regulators think that this sports betting thing is like a lottery, and that there's going to be a lot of sports books that don't run very well that are going to actually lose money on top of licensing, and then they're going to charge a percentage for handling. I'm with you. I don't think that the revenue that they're all thinking about, or what a big bonanza this is really not what they think.
I agree.
You agree with that?
The shortest answer in history.
I do agree, and yeah, I think at the end of the day, the offshore product is for both poker and for sports betting will be a superior product. It has lower operating costs and the ability to deliver a better, cheaper cost without the regulation and reporting that you're burdened with the state version.
All right, let me close this out by saying, gentlemen, you're all listening to me, my voice. I will say that the most important thing about this is we've all been operating in the shadows for decades, for years and years and years. Second-class citizens treated with disrespect. Finally, we as sports gamblers, we as poker players are respected. Our day has come. Free at last. We are free at last, and we're able to do what we want and we love and not apologize for it. We'll be right back here on Fifth Street Sports with Raymond Davis from Realgrinders to wrap it up. Don't go away.
Want to fly somewhere? Looking for cheap flights or cheap tickets? Then call. That's right. Call the low-cost airline travel hotline now for prices so low we can't publish them anywhere. Low-cost airlines has all kinds of cheap travel deals. Fly domestically and save up to 75%. You can even fly internationally and save even more. Yes, fly anywhere in the world and save a lot of money on your plane tickets. We'll even save you money with cheap travel deals on hotels, rental cars, even complete travel packages. So don't book your tickets until you call us first for the absolute cheapest prices on U.S. and international airline tickets and hotels. Call right now for prices so low they can't be published. Travel experts are here 24/7 to help. 800-754-4531. 800-754-4531. 800-754-4531. That's 800-754-4531.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from Resort Release, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get rid of their expensive timeshares. Once you've made that decision to get rid of your timeshare for any reason, Resort Release is offering a Better Business Bureau accredited way to legally get rid of your timeshare, guaranteed. We guaranteed to get rid of your timeshare payments permanently, even if you've tried another your company to get rid of your expensive timeshare, call now and see if we can help you. At Resort Release, you don't pay anything until you're ready. If you're ready to learn how to permanently get rid of your costly timeshare, make this complimentary free call right now.
800-598-0539. 800-598-0539. 800-598-0539. That's 800-598-0539.
Attention to anyone that's written a book or wants to write a book. The process is not that complicated. Take a first step. Even if you write a page a day, you'll build momentum and your book will become a reality. The hard part is getting it published. That's when you need to call Page Publishing. They've got hundreds and hundreds of thank yous from different new authors, just like you. They make the process of publishing your new book and getting it sold online a simple process. You can learn how simple it is right now by calling for your free Page Publishing New Author Submission Kit. One quick 3-minute phone call, that's all it takes to get free information and learn how you can get your book published. Pick up your phone right now and call us 24 hours a day at this number. 800-603-0885. 800-603-0885. 800-603-0885. That's 800-603-0885.
We're back here on 5th Street Sports with Raymond Davis from Realgrinders. Brian Wilson remotely in some location, some secret location in the universe. We don't really know where he is. Oklahoma Brian, obviously from Oklahoma. Frank Perez, Nick Gebers stepped away. We were talking about Realgrinders, Raymond, and what you've accomplished starting this amazing site with over 17,000 listeners, followers, viewers.
I got like 40,000 followers myself.
40,000 followers? I can't even imagine.
And unlike a lot of people got their followers, my followers are real followers.
Yeah,
they're
not like made up. Like
they're not made up.
Yeah.
Somebody didn't purchase these. These guys are real.
Right. And what impresses me so much, you interact with everybody.
Right.
You even get into fights with people.
Right. I mean,
it's not lightweight stuff.
No. I mean, I am who I am. I'm not going to change who I am for anyone. 90% love me. You got the 10% that hate me.
Oh yeah.
So it is what it is. Like I said, I built a platform. I want people to be able to voice their opinion. Obviously, some of the admins got to cut some of the stuff down in the group because we don't want to be closed or nothing like that. But we basically give people leeway to say what they want, do what they want, And
I mean, you're the ultimate libertarian. You allow any opinion. Come to Realgrinders, especially the Facebook page, and you can say it. You may be shot down, you may be criticized, but I'll tell you what, that's a great forum to pressure test ideas.
Yeah, we got scary thing is about it, we got 17,000 people, and 11,000 are active. That means they commented, posted, hit a like button or whatever. So, I got all the numbers on that stuff like that. And our biggest base is Las Vegas. So you're talking about 5,000 of our members here in Las Vegas. You can see the numbers at the tournament. We went from our first Venetian Championship had 60 people. Our last Venetian Championship had 360 people. So the growth is just amazing. I mean, just look at that. There's 300 more people. So it's going to keep on getting big. They're trying to get us to go back east. We're going to go to Fresno, Club 1. Our schedule is packed. I mean, it's not enough Raymonds because
no, I don't know about that.
Right, because I can't go everywhere. I would love to go everywhere because it's
you can't be cloned though.
Yeah, it's Realgrinders everywhere.
Yeah, we're gonna go.
It's Realgrinders everywhere, and I would love to go everywhere and meet the followers, the fans, the people who's in the group and stuff like that. But it's literally impossible.
You're like Jay-Z. You can't satisfy all the fans. All right, so Brian Wilson, you're there, and I know we're talking about Realgrinders with Raymond Davis, and I call it a cult following. I don't mean a cult in a bad way, but there's such dedication and such love. But you come out to the World Series of Poker, and you understand what a community this is, what a fraternity. I've heard it talked about as the greatest, like, and this is kind of a sexist comment, I'll say, a male summer camp, although there's a lot of women that come as well, but it's really a poker player's summer camp. It's not just about poker. It's about having dinner. It's about rejoining.
Right.
It's about having a blast. Talk about the World Series of Poker, and we'll come into Raymond in a minute about what he's going to provide poker players when they want to take a little moment free. Talk about the World Series of Poker and how important it is, Brian.
Yeah, I first started coming out in 2004, so I was a little late to the party. But, it's like having dinners at Hugo's Cellar in the basement of the Four Queens. And I was first taken there by a poker player by the name of Dave Kokloff, and I met a lot of European players.
What a legend!
And it's a worldwide deal, the World Series of Poker. You'll run into people from every country, and it's just a melting, mixing pot of everything good that you can see. People having fun, people changing their lives, and just relationships that are built. I still talk to a ton of people over in Europe that I met at the WSOP, and it's just a lot of fun to go back each year and see the same people and see how their lives have changed, how their families have grown, their businesses, stuff like that. And one of the questions I wanted to ask Ray is, having Ray on today, we got to get a good Phil Ivey story. We've got to get a good Phil Ivey story out of Ray before we get done today.
I done told so many of them. I don't want to give, geez.
How did you meet Phil Ivey? Tell me about the first time you met Phil Ivey.
Well, the first time I met Phil Ivey, okay, I'll tell you a good Phil Ivey story. First time I met Phil Ivey was at the Hustler Casino. And I walked in there, and he looked at me. He says, "God damn it, do you have to win every tournament? You're all over card player." And that was when I was at my peak, winning a lot of tournaments back in maybe 2004, 2005. I was always in card player. They did the amazing Raymond Davis story and everything. Yeah. So let me tell you a really good Phil Ivey story. So I'm out binging with women, sports betting, all this, hanging out at strip clubs back in L.A. This is, in my heyday, didn't care about money, had a total healthy disrespect for money. And so I wake up one morning, I look at the dresser, and I see I'm down to my case, $170. So I say to myself, I guess I got to go play poker. After not playing poker for 5-6 days and just blowing off thousands and thousands of dollars. So I head to the Hustler Casino because that's where the really juicy Omaha high-low game was, and I figured with $150 some dollars I could play 6-12, and and could possibly run it up. So I get the Hustler, I put my name on the board, and I'm like third on the list, and the floor man says, "Hey, Ray, your buddy's back there." I said, "My buddy?" I said, "Who?" He said, "Oh, Ivy's back there. He's playing, with Larry." So I walked to the back.
Larry Flint.
Yeah, Larry Flint.
The owner and the
right.
Yeah, whatever.
So I walked back there, and and they got it all roped up, and they got all these huge security guards and shit. They got it all roped off. And the guy says, I go to go up underneath the rope, and they say, "You can't go underneath this rope." I said, "You mean this rope that I'm going underneath right now?" So anyway, I go up underneath the rope. I go straight to Phil. The security's looking at me. Oh, he must know him or whatever. And let me tell you, it's Phil's in the game, Ted Forrest, David Oppenheimer, Larry Flynn, and
just a killer lineup.
Right. So I said, geez. Phil says, "Geez, what are you doing, Ray?" I said, "I'm just here, trying to get in action." He says, Phil looks at me. He said, "Why don't you jump in this game?" They're playing 4 and 8.
You got $170 to your name.
I said, "Phil, I might be a little short." And then Phil looks at me. He said, "No, you're not short." He said, "Here's $50,000."
No.
So Phil Ivey gives me $50,000, which is an extreme short bet. And he looks at me. I said, "Wow." I said, "Do I got to play, Phil?"
Can I cash out?
He said, "That's the idea." So I sit in the game. And the annies are $1,000. I said, $1,000 annies, $8,000 in the pot.
That's my mortgage.
So I said, Jesus Christ. I said, so I stand up and announce to the table. I said, you guys, I don't want to play poker. I just want to steal Annie's for about an hour, and then I'll be out of you guys' way. And David Oppenheimer looks at me. He says, "Sure, Ray, we're gonna let you do that." You know. So I sit down and I raised the first hand. I had like ace, king, queen suited, to the flush. I raised and David Oppenheimer proceeds to 3-bet me.
Uh-oh.
I said, Jesus Christ, looking at after the 3-bet, I got 12,000 in there. I only started with 50.
Now we got a game.
I said, boy, I better make the first hand. So the first card I caught was a 10. 10 of spades, so now I got 3 to the flush on 4th, and I got shot 10, and I checked, boof, they're betting, I'm calling.
How much do you bet?
4,000.
4,000.
So now I catch the 10. I got Broadway on 5th Street. So now David Oppenheimer leads out. I popped him 16,000, whatever, you know, and anyway, I end up winning like a $79,000 pot, right? And Ted Forrest looks at me. He says, Jesus Christ, Raymond looks so comfortable in this game at these limits. And then Phil Ivey looks at him. He says, well, he plays this limited tournaments all the time. Right? So then I won a couple of more pots, and, you know, I'm really giving it to him now. Now the trash talking is going on, you know. Do you guys play this game every week or, you know? And Ivy says, you know, time for you to hit the racks, you know. He said, get out. So now the floor man walks to the game. The floor man from the 612 area walks to the game. He says, Mr. Davis, your 612 seat is open. I said, do it fucking look like I'm going to play?
You can't say that word. We'll beat that out. Sorry. All right.
612 poker?
How much did you...
I said, I gave him a $50 tip. I said, buddy, we're playing for real money.
Yeah, real money
now.
Mortgages. Yeah, you're going to play for 612 now?
I said, we're not going to 612.
You did run your money up. Oh,
so
wow.
I walked into the Hustler with $150 and walked out of the Hustler. I was a 100,000 winner. Phil was very generous. It was a total free roll. I walked out of the Hustler with over 20,000.
You gave Phil back some money, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to
give him all the money.
How does this work, really?
I actually gave
a lot of people listening don't know how that works.
Gave Phil, after I was done playing,
yeah,
I actually gave Phil all the money.
Oh, that is really cool.
How much was the cash out that you handed to Phil?
It was 100. I cashed out 108,000. So I gave Phil the whole 108,000. He gave me like 28.
Oh, that's cool. That's class.
And you know what people say? They say, "How can you play 4,000, 8,000 for so small?" I said, "I'm playing 4,000, 8,000. How big do you want me to play?"
Unbelievable.
I mean, you know?
So you walk out with 28,000.
28,000.
So what was it? 500 or 600 in
this is a ridiculous question, but so what did you do the next day? Where did you buy in the next day? What do you do after that?
Actually, the next day I went to Bellagio, and I went on a little run in Bellagio, and I had turned, and then I ended up going back to Commerce. I ended up turning. I mean, I can't say I turned $150, but I ended up having the best month of my life. I ended up winning like $400,000.
What?
From that Phil Ivey free roll, right?
I ended up winning $400,000. I was crushing. I won 2 tournaments at Commerce. I remember getting $100,000 in one, $50,000 in another one. I got Player of the Series. Then I was crushing the live downstairs. It was a crazy run.
All right, so Brian Wilson, you're listening to all this. No. You understand why the man here, the man, Raymond Davis, is the head of Realgrinders. He's a real grinder. Talk about how amazing that story you just heard. Give us some context on that story.
It's truly amazing. I mean, this happens all the time. I can back it up with a story of my own. In 2005, I was at the World Series of Poker. I was staying at the Frontier that's been torn down. I didn't feel good that day, so I said, I'll take $500 down to a blackjack table. If I turn the 500 into 5,000, I meant to play this tournament. In a half hour, I turned 500 into 5,000, went down to the Rio, registered. 3 days later, I won $370,000 in a bracelet. So sometimes all you need is the opportunity to get in the damn game.
No, but if I was Raymond after that story, I would have pictures of Phil Ivey at my house. I would take some of my kids' pictures down.
Phil's been good to me. I mean, he's coming. I'm pretty sure, 100% sure
he's coming to this year's
World
Series. Been announced, and you and I called his last gold bracelet event. We called it together.
You know, that was like one of the highest rated.
That was one of the
event.
It was a fun event.
You know, Daniel was tweeting that out.
Everybody.
I mean,
it was history in the making.
Hey,
that's what I kept
Nolan,
saying.
do you have a copy of that?
It's probably at WSOP.com.
No, it's not there.
It's not there anymore.
How can they
All right,
not archive?
guys. Wow, I can't believe it. I knew this would happen. We get with the great Wade Davis. We get with Brian Wilson. We get with Oklahoma Brian. We get with Frank Perez. And, of course, I can't believe 2 hours flew by. Can you believe this?
It was a great 2 hours.
I got to wrap it up. Will you come back and join us again, Raymond?
Anytime. It was longer than any of my dates.
This is Nolan Dalla for 5th Street Sports. We will be back. Good night. Thank you so much.
Love you all. Join Realgrinders.
What?
We ain't done yet, guys. We have a close.
Rebuild or replace transmission, 32.
All right, 2-minute close coming up.
System, $1,000. Rebuild or replace engine, $2,400. Truth is, once your manufacturer's warranty runs out, it's all on you. Every last cent. Get protection for covered repairs with a vehicle service contract from Toco Warranty. Unlike other companies, with Toco, there's no down payment, and the monthly payments are really affordable. Not sure how long you're keeping your car? At Toco, you can pay as you go. Keep your hard-earned cash and call Toco Warranty right now at 800-222-2313 to save big money on covered auto repairs. Prices vary by vehicle, but for about the cost of a tank of gas per month, a Toco plan has your back on expensive covered car repairs. Monthly payments are very affordable. Get your free quote now. Call Toco at 800-222-2313. That's 800-222-2313. 800-222-2313. Cancellation fee may apply. Subject to eligibility. Not available in Missouri and Washington. Waiting period and deductible apply. Coverage provided and administered by Warrantech Corporation or its affiliates. Not affiliated with any manufacturer or dealership. Visit TocoWarranty.com for complete terms and conditions.
If you suffer from back pain, joint pain, arthritis, or other chronic pain, you need to try the water therapy benefits that a Vantage Therapeutic Walk-In Bath provides. Not only does a Vantage Walk-In Bath help get you in and out of the tub safely, it is proven to be beneficial to relieve aches and pains, giving you the relief to enjoy your day. You can enjoy taking your new bath and rejuvenating your body in as little as 7 days. And if you call today and ask for the radio special, we'll give you a $1,500 coupon towards the purchase of a new Vantage walk-in bath. Every call in the next 10 minutes will receive a $1,500 coupon towards the purchase of a new Vantage walk-in bath. Your aches and pains can be washed away. Call right now for a risk-free quote. 800-552-6851. 800-552-6851. 800-552-6851. That's 800-552-6851.
Are you an inventor who would like to try to have an invention or idea patented and submitted to companies, but you don't know what to do next? Call for free information from InventHelp. InventHelp, a leading inventor service company, has been helping inventors since 1984 and has sales offices located in more than 60 cities nationwide. You'll want to talk to the company that has helped secure more than 7,000 invention patents. So call InventHelp. Even if you have an idea for improving an existing product and don't know where to go with it, you'll still want to call InventHelp for free information. You'll find out how InventHelp may assist you in trying to patent your invention and submit it to companies. So call now.
Call InventHelp at 1-800-316-1738. That's 1-800-316-1738. Get your free information by dialing 1-800-316-1738. That's 1-800-316-1738. 1-800-316-1738.
Hi, I'm Nolan Dalla, back with 5th Street Sports. What an amazing couple of hours we had. We had Bill Ordin live from the roof of the Preakness in Baltimore, Maryland, talking about the race, which is probably going on as I talk.
It's probably over.
Just amazing. It's probably over by now. Frank Perez, thanks for joining us. Oklahoma Brian, our regular resident handicapper expert. Brian Wilson, for the first time, a gold bracelet winner of the World Series of Poker. We're going to have you on, sir. A lot of shows going forward here in the next couple of months and next couple of years. Brian Wilson, what a legend, and you have so many great stories, and we're privileged to have you on. And we also have Raymond Davis here in studio. Raymond, last commercial break here for talking about talking about Real Grinders and the World Series of Poker.
Real Grinders, first off, I'm honored, to be going into a partnership and, helping, Fifth Street Radio grow, helping Real Grinders grow. Like I say, we're growing daily. We get 150 requests to join the group a day. Every day we get over 150 requests to join the group a day. We are the number one poker group on the planet. We are Real Grinders. I don't think there's no one. You got to be hiding in a rock to not have heard that name. So we're going to continue to grow. When you guys come to the World Series, come to the Real Grinders Lounge.
Across the street, it's right there across the street from the Rio. Be sure and join. Just go to Real Grinders on Facebook, and also visit. If you want to stay tuned, we're going to talk longer. We're going to talk here about everything we've discussed. We're going to do overtime segment. It's called The End Zone, and it's going to be at 5th Street Sports Talk at Facebook. Go on Facebook, query 5th Street Sports. We're going to talk about a lot of this and more. We're going to talk about all the things that you offer, Raymond Davis. Boy, this has been an amazing 2 hours, and we will be back with overtime on The End Zone. Thanks for joining us, everybody. All of those of you who listen. We got the World Cup of Soccer coming up in the summer. Wow. So much to talk about. We'll be back next time. See you next week.
All right, you guys are clear. Have a good day.
For USA Radio News, I'm Wendy King. The alleged gunman behind a school shooting that left 10 dead in Texas remains behind bars as more details about the attack emerge. John Barnes is a retired Houston police officer.
Scott, can you hear me?
17-year-old shooter before he was shot. Galveston County Judge Mark Henry says
You got me, Scott? Can you hear me?
No one. It was a
Hello, Scott.
He ran right in there. That's their training. That's their background.
Scott, can you hear me?
So we're very proud of him.
Henry says the shooter remains in isolation
Scott,
in the county jail.
Scott, can you hear me?
Police Chief Walter
Scott, can you hear me?
People are now
Scott, can you hear me?
back.
Oh, yeah.
We're doing a limited, allowing the students and staff members access one-on-one with an officer.
Why is that?
And collect their valuable.
Check 1 2 3. Check 1 2 3. Scott, can you hear me?
You're listening to USA
Weird.
Radio News.
Hi, I'm Wayne.
Okay, I figured the problem out.
Biggest critics of Barack Obama in the national media. You may remember from stories at Fox News. Suddenly, I was under massive IRS attack. I interviewed all the top tax lawyers in America, and I hired Sam Landis. Sam did an amazing job. The entire IRS was out to destroy me, and we won. Not once, but twice. I didn't owe a penny. Thank you, Sam Landis. Many of you have hired non-lawyer tax resolution firms and have spent thousands of dollars getting nowhere. Do yourself a favor. Call Sam Landis to get honest answers about your IRS case free. After your free confidential conversation, you'll be surprised at how affordable it is to hire one of the top tax lawyers in the country. In many cases, it's as little as $500 per month for only a few months. Trust me, Sam Landis is the best. I'm passionate about this. Sam saved my life. The phone number is simple. 800-WE-HELP-YOU with the letter U. That's toll free. 800-WE-HELP-YOU with the letter U. Trust me, it will be one of the best things you've ever done. 800-WE-HELP-YOU with the letter U. 800-WE-HELP-YOU.
Thousands of people have lined the streets for the wedding of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Karen Kefa has more.
A festive atmosphere on a sunny blue sky day in Windsor, England. Thousands came out with their flags, and many ladies even dressed for the occasion with lots of fascinator hats in the crowd. Some stayed overnight to stake out a spot. Others camped out for days, eager to spot a glimpse of the new Duke and Duchess of Sussex, the titles conferred upon Prince Harry and Meghan Markle by the Queen. Karen Kefa, Windsor, England.
A possible terror attack is foiled in France, and USA's Chris Barnes has details.
French officials say they have foiled what could have been a deadly terrorist attack in their nation using either deadly ricin or explosives, and they've arrested 2 Egyptian-born brothers before they could strike. The Interior Minister says they'd been tracking extremist activity on social networks. Details of the circumstances of their arrests not released. For USA Radio News, I'm Chris Barnes.
This is USA Radio News.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Are drug and alcohol problems hitting you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
866-490-3991. 866-490-3991. That's 866-490-3991.
Former President Jimmy Carter.
We're back on Fifth Street Sports. What's this called? The End Zone? The Extra Time? Sounds like a gay bar.
Well,
I mean, it does.
This is where you
it
spike
does.
the
I mean,
ball.
it really does.
The end zone. You
Hold on a
spike the
second.
ball from scoring.
Andrew, I want a separate recording of this. So you have to stop the recording and then start it again. It was never recorded. Remember, that's right.
Are we
Oh, yeah.
starting over again?
No. We're going. This is End Zone. This is
Seriously,
relaxing.
this is live?
Yeah,
Really?
this is all good.
All the mess ups?
Yeah.
All the spillage?
The spillage, the mess ups.
Oh,
This
my
is what's so good about End Zone. Right, Frank?
Or bad.
Oh,
Frank, pull the mic in your face, Frank.
Yeah.
Pull it.
No, put it in your face so we can hear you.
Yeah, just
Oh, you guys can't hear me from here?
Fillate it.
There we go.
Believe me.
I mean, this is the point, guys. You know, we have to be very particular and proper on network radio, right?
Hey, by the way, what are we talking about? By the way, we always prompt people about, we always have a topic of the week.
Yeah.
Because we're on every Saturday on Fifth Street Sports. By the Oklahoma Brian, and Brian Wilson will be joining us in a second. But we always have a topic, and by the way, this is the first really free-for-all.
Yeah.
What are we going to talk about, Mr. Gieber?
Poker. We got Brian Wilson on. I want to talk poker. I want to get back to the discussion we were having also with Brian Allen about sports betting. And I want to discuss where we're going here at Fifth Street Sports a little bit so people can understand.
Where are we going?
Well, I don't know. I'm going to take a guess at it. I'm going to take a flyer. We got everyone with us. Brian Wilson, are you there, my friend? Perhaps not. How about Brian, Oklahoma Brian?
I think I'm here.
Well, we got one of the two. No Brian Wilson, though. Oh, okay.
We'll work on that.
We'll figure that one out. All right, guys. So first of all, where are we going on Fifth Street Sports? So if you watch this show on Saturdays, we're sort of more of a general type of show, like fun, gambling, gaming, lifestyle, sports betting. We do some technical stuff, but on the whole, it's more of the like you're sitting around chatting with your buddies, right?
This is fun?
Yeah, I don't know. But we will be providing a lot more very specific content, but you have to go to our website and our Facebook page and our YouTube channel, we'll be providing a lot more very specific shows. We'll be giving you, real in-depth analysis and technical analysis.
Let me say something, and I'm going to throw it to Oklahoma Brian here in a second. But I've been with this show for about 2.5 months, and you know what? I'm not. We have fun, and we just kind of shoot the breeze, and we're all over the map. And sometimes we're funny, sometimes we're irreverent, whatever. That's what it is. But you know something? Every single bet I've made, I think I've made 6 bets from information I've obtained from this show. Boxing, WNBA, which has started. You did a show last week, Frank, with Oklahoma Brian, talking about the WNBA coming up. But every single bet I've made, maybe it's just an aberration, but I've won. And so a lot of the bets here, the recommendations, the touts, I hate to use that word, have been based on very solid information. So, Frank, I must thank you guys. I'm richer for being a part of this show.
Our pleasure.
I'm glad to hear that. At least someone is. Mind if we tap you for a small loan?
No, because I already blew the money on other vices. All right, so Brian Allen, you are at 5thstreetsports.com. If you visit, Brian Allen is just he bets baseball, he bets everything. You tout this and that, and your stuff just really solid. Brian Allen, come at us with how your baseball and some basketball picks have been the last couple of months. And you're posting this stuff live. If you guys you ladies follow us, talk about that, Brian Allen.
Before I talk about the plays for the year, they've been pretty good. I'm not a poker guy. Don't know nearly as much about poker as anybody else in this show. I really, really enjoyed the last half hour. That was phenomenal. If we can get Ray on again, we should do it. I really, really enjoyed that last half hour.
Well, we are going to be doing. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff with Realgrinders. We have a good relationship with them, and we'll be doing a lot more programming and content with Realgrinders. Before we get to the baseball stuff, Nolan, I'll push you off a little bit again.
Push me off.
I think Raymond, his timing is excellent with Realgrinders because their focus is on the small stakes games, the real grinders, the people that will play $150 and make it to 400 and say they've had a great night. Okay, that's the focus. And I think what you've seen is a lot of the impetus and the drive behind the explosive growth of poker in the early millennium had to do with the moneymaker effect. People seeing Chris Moneymaker and how he took his, $5 online tournament and partied it into a main event seat and then won the World Series of Poker and became a big, famous, rich poker player, blah, blah, blah. As poker has deflated after the UIGEA and of course the feds shutting down some of the big poker sites and it becoming very difficult to play real money online poker, a lot of people have left the poker business. The focus with the networks, which is still covering poker, and those production companies that still produce poker programming and the publications, has gone from Joe Blow, the little guy, back to the big name stars because those are the guys that they know will get eyeballs. And so a lot of the little guys have got lost again in the mix. They become less important in the poker world, particularly from a mass media standpoint. I know, Nolan, you were involved with a Poker Night in America, which actually aimed to reverse that somewhat by having regular guys. But I think if you look at what's on now, it's a high stakes at the Aria, it's this, that, and the other. The small guy doesn't stand a chance anymore if you just drop into poker today. And I don't mean that literally, I mean that figuratively in terms of media coverage. So I think Raymond's focusing on what is now an underserved constituency in the poker world, which is the average Joe.
Just so many excellent points there. Probably the fodder for an entire show on the future poker, what direction it's to take. Boy, I have some opinions on what you've said, but I know that Brian Wilson is also sitting there. He's like a racehorse at the Preakness, ready to fire to the gate. Brian Wilson, what do you think, sir?
I don't know if he's with us.
Brian, you're not there with us?
I see him there. Oh, we don't have Brian.
All right. I'm looking at Brian. He's gorgeous, but like.
Oh, you said Brian. I will fill it. I'm the next.
Please do.
Brian that you have.
We'll take the other Brian.
I got a good thing on that Realgrinders. You know what I think is the perfect model for this Realgrinders? is the fact that, especially for online poker, is the fact that, he's going to spread limit games 3, 6, 4, and 8, 5, 10. First of all, you don't have to really rake it like these casinos, $4 and $5 a hand, because you don't have the overhead. You don't have the waitresses or the brick and mortar store that pay the dealers. You can rake it at $2 a pot, which is what they used to rake when I grew up here. And by the games being low limit, where the guy's buying for $100, you're trying to run it to $250, the rake's $2. There's really such a safe, secure thing of that the games are not being cheated. That the games are on the square. The games are low limit. And all this moneymaker effect on TV, of course you want to see these guys turning over these terrible hands and winning $4 million. But in the real world, for most guys, it's like the Walmart of America poker. You know what I mean? Really, it really is. People play 4 and 8. They want to buy in for $200, not feel like they're being cheated, and have a good time, relax with the beer, playing late night. It's a great model, this Real Grinder.
No, great point, Frank Perez.
I think it's phenomenal.
Brian Allen, what do you think?
Well, I think it's a phenomenal point that Frank made, and I also think that sports betting is lucky in that we get to watch the poker industry and all of the mistakes they've made and all the things they've done right. And we have the ability to kind of benefit from 10 years of history. I think that what you say about Raymond and the Real Grinders, that's a great point. Sports betting needs to kind of bottle that same enthusiasm of the little guy winning. As fun as the Westgate or the Hilton contest, was known before it was the Westgate contest. That same type of event, I think, has tremendous potential going forward. A contest where, a little guy can, spend $500 to $1,000 for an entry fee. All of a sudden, his status is the same as the guy who bets $50,000 a game. They're equals, and I think the public really wants to see, everybody compete on an equal status. And maybe the guy that drives the UPS truck is hotter, at handicapping the NFL than Billy Walters or anyone else in the next season.
Brian Allen, you just said something that's remarkable to me. You really just, like a diamond bullet between the eyes, you really nailed it. The World Series of Poker encapsulated the dreams of the everyman, the average poker player living in Omaha, Nebraska, who can win some satellite, come out to Las Vegas, and win the World Series of Poker. And that's what Moneymaker, they talk about the Moneymaker effect. Moneymaker is the encapsulation of the great American dream, somebody who, working a regular job and they become a multimillionaire through playing poker. You just nailed something that I think is really, I don't want you to elaborate on this. Talking about sports betting, and is there potentially a moneymaker effect with sports betting? You have potentially the Las Vegas Hilton, and it's now the Westgate, the handicapping contest, which is, again, this is the best 2,000 handicappers in the world competing, and essentially it gets the World Series of Poker of sports betting. Are you suggesting that maybe we're looking at, this is kind of the 2002 of sports betting, and over the next 4 to 5 years we're going to have a monstrous expansion in these kinds of
Absolutely.
activities?
Absolutely. And now, I'm a guy who's never played the lottery, but I get the excitement that people that like the lottery. The Powerball allows people from multiple states to join together into a bigger jackpot. I have no reason to doubt that, all of these states that have legalized sports betting, in addition to their everyday business of taking straight bets and parlays, they'll be fools if they don't find a way to bind their businesses together and create the betting equivalent of the Powerball, where they've got a national contest where, your average guy who is a plumber or drives a pizza delivery car or whatever it is, that, these guys that are just regular lunch-toting everyday people can win $15 million in a weekend.
Didn't, was it FanDuel or DraftKings? I forget which one it was. Their whole line of their commercials was Bill, the students, made $200,000 playing DraftKings. If I remember their commercials correctly, they were everywhere and then they were nowhere, the commercials. But they were trying to use that same moneymaker line on growing their sites. But I would suggest that the main thing that the big online sites, Nolan, and provided was the blood that pumped through the poker economy. In that when the big online sites left, it was like Ross Perot's giant sucking sound. You remember that? All the air came out of the poker business. I'm not talking about the game of poker. I'm talking about the business of poker. The TV commercials, the exposure, all the outlets, all the ancillary businesses, the media companies. There was a giant vacuum that came out and sucked all the money out because it was essentially being pumped through the life. That was essentially the lifeblood of poker, was the huge amounts of money that Poker Stars and Full Tilt and the other guys, Ultimate Bet and Absolute Poker and all these other ones at the time that were pumping into the poker world. I am concerned. I don't think we'll get that initially in the sports betting world because there isn't going to be a national presence. There isn't going to be one company that's going to pump $100 million like DraftKings and FanDuel did, by the way, $186 million.
Is it that much?
Yeah, they pumped in because they had a national product, and then they took it off the couple of states that didn't approve it. So I don't think we're going to be able to develop a 900-pound gorilla off the bat because of the fragmentation of sports betting, because it is state by state, and states will have to license each one differently. But it's just a matter of time, as Brian mentioned. I mean, you can just look at it as poker right now. I mean, you've got, 3 or 4 states now have opted into a pool. So now you can play people in New Jersey and Nevada and Delaware and one other one, I think, on WSOP.com, and there's a couple of others. And that's an inevitability that's going to happen that way with sports betting too. We'll sort of generate a national book as states. We're fine. Keep going until you want
to.
All right,
so let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Yeah. Brian, let me ask a question and introduce this, and I'll throw this to you. I'm curious about something, in that Nick introduced an excellent topic that I just never really thought about before, and that's that. I'll ask you a 2-part question. Number one is, how many average Americans? There's 320 million Americans, and really, if you talk about adults, it's 220 million. It's roughly, talk about kids, they don't watch the news, they don't know. But let's say there's 200 million Americans. How many Americans know that the law just changed? First of all, my answer is probably almost nobody. Only gamblers, only Las Vegas people.
No,
hear me out.
Sports fans.
Hear me out. Sports bettors, yes, of course.
Fans.
1,000% of us. We all, it's kind of like, we think the world revolves around us. No, it doesn't. I'm sorry, it doesn't. I wish it would. I wish it did, but it doesn't.
What are you talking about? Of course it does.
My thought is that the average person doesn't have any clue. They don't know that they can, maybe in Kansas, they can, in 6 months from now, they can bet on the NFL. They have no clue. And so by the way, what I just said, let that absorb that for a minute. If you're living in Topeka, Kansas, do you think that the average person there knows that the Supreme Court decision? No. The answer is no. You know that. So my question is, the way to reach them, how is the average person in Topeka, Kansas, or blah, 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 whatever, going to start betting $20 on the Packers or the Chiefs or whatever the teams are? It's marketing.
Yeah.
It's awareness. It's, hey, you know what? This is $20 I might have spent on those dumbass shitty lottery tickets, which is the biggest sucker fucking bet in the goddamn world, and I despise the lottery. I'm so pro gambling, and I'm disgusted with the lottery. It's disgraceful.
You haven't won.
It's an awful thing. And so let's just hey guys, if you're dumb enough to play the lottery, bet that $20 on the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't care who it is, whatever, and you got a much better situation. Sure. Not as nearly a state hold on that situation.
Just not the White Sox.
And I know, Brian Allen, you're coming over the top of me. Tell me if I'm wrong, sir.
I totally agree. First of all, I don't know that it matters if the average person in Topeka knows, because it's coming. I think that sports betting within our society is going to be more prevalent. Like I said in the first or second hour, I'm not sure that it's that it's the that it's the ultimate solution for state budget shortfalls, but it's definitely coming. And as to what Nick was saying about the fragmentation of the industry, and we don't know, you're right, Nick, we don't know how individual states are going to implement these new laws. We also don't know, by the way, another thing that hasn't been mentioned. You know, the Supreme Court threw out the Bradley bill, which essentially was one specific piece of legislation that violated interstate commerce. But let's not forget, Congress still has the ability to regulate this.
Yeah.
Orrin Hatch has
or
already
restrict it.
announced it. Or restrict it. So let's not assume that this is going to be a free-for-all, and Congress is done
You're right.
interfering with this.
Orrin Snatch wants to make some changes.
Right.
You know, I'm so sick of these. I'm so sick of these guys. You know, these guys. You know, the ones that stand on the bully pulpit and complain about the gambling and all these bad things that it's going to do, and how it's going to wreck society, and how gay marriage is terrible, and gays are a biblical abhorrence, and conservative values, and this, that, and the other. These are the guys that are the compulsive bettors who are getting blowjobs from male hookers in the stalls at the restrooms. I mean, these are the biggest hypocrites in the world. And listen, if somebody has a set of convictions and they live by them, I respect them. That doesn't mean to say that I have to follow their convictions. The same guys that stand up on this bully pulpit and talk about morality the same guys that are going to talk about the Constitution and your individual rights to free speech and expression. How do these two things match? How is it that your morality gets to be pushed onto me? Now, I do believe very firmly that the way our system of government is, I don't want to get into a governmental discussion here, that that states have the right to regulate per their community standards. So I completely understand that it's very unlikely that Utah will have any sports betting at all. Okay?
Or Hawaii.
Or Hawaii. Because that's as a group. And listen, I could say to myself, I love sports betting. I love Salt Lake City, but I don't like Salt Lake City that much. I'm moving to Las Vegas because I can bet on sports. I mean, I'm fine with that. You have that choice based on community standards where you want to live. I'm much happier, frankly, being around a bunch of strippers than a bunch of guys that are preaching to me about the Bible and then they're going off and being hypocrites in the back. So, for me personally, I think that where we're going with this, Brian, is just to continue this. You're pointing at me.
No, I'm pointing at you because I want to. Because let me point out something. This is the great hypocrisy of what we discuss. Is that the entire essentially United States of America and capitalist system is based on one thing. You know what it's based on? Speculation, risk, gambling, Wall Street.
Sure.
Wall Street. Stock markets.
It's the same.
Yeah, everything. Starting a business, doing anything in this country which is supposedly embraced by a lot of conservatives and right wingers and even religious people.
And Frank
are
I'm not religious.
Are cheered. Oh, he's such a great. He's such. It's embraced. But you know what? If you were to bet, $200 on the Packers, oh no, you can't do that. I don't understand the difference between buying a stock, between investing in a bond, between speculating in something, and because these are outcomes no one can predict, and wagering that same, not wagering, investing that same amount of money in the Green Bay Packers to cover the point spread. What is the
There's
difference?
no difference.
But here's the difference, because now Nick goes from talking about like religious people and not putting their points on him and everybody's free to do whatever they want. This would be my take, okay? Because I've seen every vice and everything else. I would say to the people that say, okay, listen, you want to do all these things that more or less go against God's thing or the Bible, say, that's fine. But I need you to sign on this piece of paper. Now, if it goes bad, you take the hit. What I'm saying about that is this. Let's say somebody says to you, well, I want to smoke pot, and I want to drink a lot, and I want to gamble. But God's book of life says that those things are not good for me, that those things shouldn't be done.
What does it say?
I'll say, that's fine. Or it says, pharmakia in the Greek. Paul even said it in Romans and all that. But let's just say that you say, I want to override all that because I want to do my thing. say that's fine. But if it goes bad, if you lose your job for doing meth, or you gamble away all your money, or you want to do all these things, we ain't giving you no disability check. You're going to be out on the street. You're going to do this. So take your own hits. It's almost like when your 14 or 15-year-old says to you, oh, I want to do this. Why are you keeping me against that? I want to, and you know what's going to happen because, you're older and you know. But you say, okay, but if it goes bad, you take the hit. Don't put it on me.
Don't we always take the hit?
No, you don't. People do not. That's why there's all kinds of programs in this country that we have to pay for them when things go bad. But anyways, now let's get back to a funner thing. I believe that with this NFL betting or this college football betting, it can be incorporated into a lottery. Instead of having ping pong balls come up, 6 ping pong balls or whatever, why don't you can use the NFL for a state lottery? Like say the Thursday, Sunday, and Monday night game, pick the correct scores of the game. Something really hard, like 28-7 Redskins. If you get all 3 or 5 perfectly correct scores, you would hit the lottery. So you can use the NFL for a way of having a lottery. Instead of ping pong balls, you can make it NFL games.
Yeah, but the thing is, Frank, you don't have to pay an integrity fee to ping pong balls.
But see, now I don't even know how these senators and stuff are going to vote this in. But if they then they're very, very ignorant towards what the real hold and the real handle is in sports betting. If they start charging a ton of money for licensing and all kinds of fees and regulation and making people jump through unbelievable hoops, then all of a sudden they think when you open up your shop and you put the board up that you just opened up a big old candy store and you're going to win all the money.
Well, actually, hold on. I've got something to say to that.
Okay.
Because you bring up a great point, Frank, and this is how I see it working. The United States Congress and the Senate will at some point come with some very onerous and restrictive rules on sports betting, federal guidelines or whatever it is, and they're going to be so onerous and restrictive that only the absolute largest corporations and conglomerates and mega media companies will be able to join the fray. And they're going to immediately, because of that, edge out all the smaller guys, all the upstarts, anybody that might have an entrepreneurial spirit in their bones. They will jury rig it such that only the big corporations are going to have a shot.
Well, yeah, but this is what I would do, Nick. Though I'm telling you, if I was playing the stock market, I would wait for all these gaming companies to open up in individual states, and let's say it's AcmeGaming.com out of Wisconsin. I want to, and all those gaming companies, I want to short them. I want to short that stock every time, and I want to on the positive side buy all the stock I can of Gamblers Anonymous because the GA phone lines are going to be lit off the rack.
Is it public?
6 to 12 months, and all these other sports books and states that think that they just opened up a big old ice cream store, they're going to make a ton of money. I want to short all those stocks.
Do you really think, Frank, that this is going to?
I totally agree with. I agree with everything Frank just said there.
Really? So you think we're going to have a massive?
Yes.
A massive tidal wave of problem gamblers.
Yes, we do. Sports gambling. It is. Sports gambling is like it's like the crack of addiction for without substances. I'm telling you, you're going to start getting these 13, 14, 15-year-old kids telling their 21-year-old brother, bet me this parlay card down at the corner of the book. Bet me this, bet me that. It is going to be. A 14-year-old kid hits a 6-team NFL parlay, and his brother's got to hand him $1,000. That kid's got that needle in so deep. You don't know how many. Yes, it is, Nolan. Don't tell me wrong. I grew up in this town. I grew up in this town. Those GA lines are going to be lit off the rack.
Right, they don't have this problem in the UK, though.
Just a second. I got something to say about this, but I know, Brian, you have a thought, which I think is opposite of Nick and I, but I'll give you this platform, then I'm going to come back at you. Go ahead, Brian.
Well, I mean, I basically agree with just about everything that Frank just said. I think that this is exciting times we're moving into, but let's not lose sight of the fact that there are going to be a lot of people that get hurt along the way, and the state, senators and representatives that I've heard making these preposterous statements. There was one, by the way, that I think we posted on Facebook this week. There was a state senator in Kansas, and I almost have to laugh when I repeat this story. He said that they were going to tax the total handle of sports betting 5%, and according to his calculations, that would be $75 million of revenue for the state of Kansas. Well, apparently he knows nothing about sports betting, because the theoretical hold for the house in sports betting is around 4.5%. So that's the hold, and that's the profit the house makes, 4.5%. He wants to tax the complete volume of every bet they take, 5%. So how does that work?
All right, so Brian, I'm gonna throw something back at you and Frank, what you just said. By the way, I will concede 2 points that you have made, which I think were right on. The revenues associated with legalized sports gambling are probably overinflated. By the way, so it's only $17 million a year instead of $75 million in Kansas. That's still $17 million. I'm just making up a number, by the way. Yeah. $17 million they wouldn't have had that would have been to the offshore sports books or bookies or illegal. It's still a net plus by acknowledging and regulating and licensing and taxing something that goes on anyway, like legalized marijuana, like legalized sports gambling. Go ahead and acknowledge it, tax it. Okay, so it's not as much as we hoped, but it's this. That's still a net positive plus, number one. Number two, you were dead wrong, both of you guys, dead wrong on something, and I'm going to give you your own history. When legalized gambling came to many states, by the way, I'm old enough to remember, as all of you are, that in this country there used to be 2 or 3 states, Nevada, New Jersey, Connecticut, maybe some Indian reservations here or there, that legalized gambling. And all of a sudden you got casinos in Cincinnati, in Baltimore, in Pittsburgh, and Chicago, and outside Atlanta, in North Carolina, and in Florida, and in New Orleans. You got all these casinos, giant casinos, as big a casinos as you would find in Las Vegas, in mega cities. Most cities in the United States have legalized gambling. What did all the anti-gambling forces say? What were their fears? Oh, crime's going to go up. Oh, problem gambling. All these awful things. By the way, go back and Google search in 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, when all these laws were changing throughout the country. Crime's going to go up. No, it didn't. No, it didn't.
But that's a different animal,
wait a minute.
Nolan.
No, it didn't. Crime
animal.
did not go up. Problem gambling really didn't go up much. It went up it went from like 2 to 2.5%. By the way, the Harvard Business School, they've done studies on this. It's just simply it is simply not true. You know what causes crime? You know what causes crime?
People.
Poverty.
Here's what causes crime. People. And if you build a shopping mall, if I'm in the middle of nowhere and I build a shopping mall in Iowa, in some county, the crime will skyrocket because there's a shopping mall and there's people and there's purses to be stolen and car break-ins and muggings because people are there with money and stuff, okay? And so if you build a casino, the same thing happens. So when people say, oh, a casino was built in blah, and crime skyrocketed 70%, you know what? Go to Baltimore, Maryland, and look at the crime statistics before a casino was built and look at it after. There's no difference
there is, Nolan.
whatsoever. Gambling does not cause crime. All those things, by the way, those people have been proven wrong. They are wrong. They're wrong.
Nolan, I've been in at the grassroots of a lot of states that did this.
I'm giving you
First
stats.
of all, the animal that you're talking about is a whole different animal. You're talking about a mega casino going up in a certain city like Cincinnati or Maryland, live in Maryland. A mega casino is absolutely nothing compared to betting on sports in your local corners with parlay cards. Remember, little boys, 9, 10, they're wearing their pool hole shirts. They're throwing passes. They want to be like Brady. It's all about sports to these little boys and these little kids. They turn 13, 14, and 15, and they don't have to go to a casino where you got to be 21 to play blackjack and craps. That might not sound so interesting. People got to drive all this place to this big mega casino. But now when you start betting, as a little boy starts getting into his mind, a $20 parlay. I'm going to bet my Chiefs today. It's a whole different animal than the one you're talking about.
How on earth is a 13-year-old boy going to make a bet?
Because he's got an 18-year-old brother.
Excuse me,
He's
Frank.
got a 21-year-old brother.
Frank, excuse me for a second. Let me just stop you for a second. I know Brian's listening to my voice. I'm so sick of this, like, a 13-year-old kid's gambling. You know what? When I was 13 years old, I was gambling, and so were you, and so were you.
I got friends that made a ton of money.
What's wrong with that?
Because of this.
You're betting $5. Who gives a shit?
Oh, it's not that. See, you're talking about, most problem gamblers and most people.
It's part of living. It's part of growing up.
Right,
You're going to gamble $20 on the Chiefs. Yeah,
that's
it
right.
happens. Grow up, sir.
Okay, right now, if you've got 1 million 14-year-olds in Cleveland, okay? So you got 1 million, and there's no sports betting. Now, next year, you still got that same 1 million 14-year-olds because all the 13-year-olds came up. You're out of those millions, do you know how many kids by the time they're 19 or 20 are going to be less productive, addicted, calling GA, depression?
Show me the evidence.
The evidence is, okay, I have a friend.
That's not a problem.
Listen, I had one of my best friends. When we used to run parlay cards in Maryland. You know where he made his most money? He used to flyer the parking lots at the GA conventions. We used to flyer the parking lots at all the GA. We used to put parlay cards in their thing. Those cards got the biggest return. Those cards, because those were red. Those were red. So we knew where they were coming from. We'd do all the green ones at the UPS stores. We'd do all, so we knew where the parlay cards were coming from. All the GA ones came back in. So do you know how cruel that is to flyer parlay cards at a GA summit? That's pretty.
Here, let me share something with you, and I'll go to Brian in just a moment who can rebut me or kick me in the ass, whatever he wants to do.
Something about butts.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So real quick. I'm gonna cite an authority he was at Brooklyn College, a psychologist. His name is Dr. Arthur Reber, and he used a term which it was so profound and he stuck with me. It's called transference. People that have addictive personalities.
Yep.
Type A personalities. They're passionate about drinking, about sex, about life, about living, about everything, doing everything to the fullest. And gambling is part of that. By the way, I don't apologize for that, and neither should you, neither should anybody. Everybody should live life to the fullest. I am not apologizing for that. Doesn't mean you should gamble away your furniture. Doesn't mean you should be stupid. I'm not suggesting that. But don't give me this BS, because all entrepreneurs, all creativity, all great inventions, all great inventions in history are by people like ourselves who are waving their finger in the air saying, this is what I believe, and this is what I'm doing. And so what I'm suggesting to you is, when Dr. Arthur Reber told me, he said, if you were to outlaw gambling in all 50 states, do you think that obsessive-compulsive behavior would decline? This is an authority. This is a man who wrote books on the subject. He said no, because people who are obsessive-compulsive, who are born with this trait, which I probably have some genes in this, we all did probably have this, a little bit of this. We'd be drinking more, we'd be doing drugs more, because obsessive-compulsive disorders are transferred. If you were to eliminate all gambling, the transference would be to drugs, would be to alcohol, would be to these other vices.
I do agree with you.
Transference is the key. And by the way, this is a person who gave papers at psychological conferences talking about if you were to just completely ban all gambling, it doesn't
Nolan
stop. It does not ameliorate the problems of society.
It's the same thing. If listen, I am for gun control, just to put it out here.
What is gun control?
Hold on. I don't want to have this argument.
That's the dumbest thing in the whole world.
No, it's not. I come from
the dumbest. I want gun control.
Would you let me finish, please? The point I'm making is that you can take away the guns that someone's shooting up a school with, but then they're going to come back with a pipe bomb or a hatchet or a knife or drive a car through people at the side. If you want to kill somebody, you're going to kill someone. Wouldn't you agree, Frank?
Yes, but gun control, the only thing that
gun control does is
control.
This is nothing to do with gun control.
Yes, any whack-out that's going to take an AR into a school is going to find a way to do it, whether you say, there's gun control.
So you agree.
So you agree.
So you stop. So you agree, yes.
No. gun control only
Frank,
says you're going to take
Frank,
the weapons
stop,
out of the hands of the good people.
This isn't about gun control.
It's about the
This isn't about gun control.
Yeah, they're going to find a way to do it.
All right,
But
so
you don't have to
it's the
give
same
us,
argument.
Let me see his control. Brian, I know you listened to my point about transference, and we got sidetracked. Please,
but that's the point I'm making.
Please argue pro or con on that.
That's the point I'm making.
First of all,
Exactly.
Let's leave gun control for another show.
I didn't want to discuss gun control. I was using it as an
There's
example.
no such thing.
Let Brian go. By the way, this is over. This is the end zone, right? We're all
overtime,
the
yes.
ball, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Brian, it's all yours, sir.
Hey, so back to your analogy with Kansas and the 17 million. Yeah, I mean, that number is not going to be 17 million. And I think you have to be, even if you agree with the general concept of transference, you do have to acknowledge, Nolan, there is a little bit of social cost associated with rolling out full-scale legalization of sports betting. Whether you think it's, a major problem like Frank and I might say that it is, you can't say there's no problem. That's 17 million.
There's a social cost with having no gun control.
Yeah. Let him finish. Let him finish because I have some. Please, Brian, please continue, sir.
Cool, thank you. And as to your point about rolling out casinos in New Orleans and Memphis and wherever else we did, the last 20 years. Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, crime has gone down in this country. Unfortunately, we don't have a parallel universe of a second United States with a control group that didn't do all of these things that we talked about doing. So yeah, generally speaking, I think crime has come down a lot more than we think, but it's the argument that we did this and we did X and Y didn't happen is absurd. You see it all the time in, mayoral races in big cities where they talk about how the crime rate was reduced in the last 5 years. Well, yeah, congratulations, it was reduced. I'm not sure I can give you as the mayor 100% of the credit for it. As far as the crime rates in big cities and saying that, gambling can't be blamed for it. Look, I'm basically a libertarian guy. I wanted to see the Supreme Court rule the way they ruled. I'm basically in favor of legalized sports betting. I just think it's naive to say that we're not going to have social costs. We're not going to have problem gamblers. It's inevitable. And I do generally agree with your idea of transference, but we're still going to have.
I do believe in the right to bear arms, and there is a social cost.
So thank you for acknowledging that.
Hypocrisy.
But let me just say, you talked about a controlled group. Is there such a society that doesn't allow vices, gambling, drinking, blah blah blah, fill in all the blanks? Yeah, there is. You know what it's called? Saudi Arabia, Iran, North Korea, places like. You guys want to live in a society like that? Excuse me. Do you want to live that? There's a way to wipe out. You just cut people's heads off if they gamble, and we can have no problems at all. We could have no gambling addiction. We could have no problems. We could have zero drinking issues. We could have zero drug issues. You want to live in Saudi Arabia? Fine, move there. This is so-called I thought this was called a free country. Free country. Gee, wow, that's a weird concept, isn't it?
And you're going to be free to take care of them.
That you can gamble, that you can drink, that you can smoke marijuana. I thought that's what this was based upon. Gee, it's a weird situation, isn't it? That we have a lot of lawmakers, a lot of people, even sitting in this particular setting, that are saying that they're worried about the social cost. Yeah, there's a little bit of a social cost, but you know what? When they're open up an Applebee's, there's a social cost. Okay? When you have a TGI Fridays,
Carl's
if you
Jr.
do anything, if you bulldoze over turtles in the desert, there's a social cost of anything you do.
Nolan, but see, now you've taken it where like you think that I'm about prohibition and that. I'm not saying that. I'm
lot
just
of
saying
people are about prohibition,
right,
Frank.
Right, that was a terrible
About
thing.
A third of the country, and mostly on the right wing, and you know it.
What I'm saying is when 48 of these states all legalize sports betting, the problem of Gamblers Anonymous, people. See, here's one of the things that you don't even notice, because it's not gambling like a roulette ball or a video poker. When you're gambling on sports, you're tapping into the heart of the American youth. That's what all these little 7 and 8-year-olds are playing soccer. They're playing lacrosse. They're playing baseball. Now all of a sudden they turn 15, 16, 17. They're driving. Their buddies are betting. Their older brother tells them about something you can make money at as sports. It's a whole different animal that you just brought in. I'm not saying to ban it. I'm just saying when it comes out and in full force, get ready to give some of these people some help. There's going to be a lot of help.
When online poker started in 2000, really started, what I mean is, where it's popular, 2004, 5, and 6, everybody said that all the kids are going to be gambling on poker.
No,
was
who
that
said
an issue?
that?
Excuse me. Was that an issue? And did that
Just
really
watch.
happen, sir?
Just watch when
No,
all these kids
let's
are going
talk
to bet.
about data. Did that happen?
I don't even know about online poker.
No, it didn't happen. No, it didn't.
Because online poker is
so
different.
Your stuff is just proven 10 years ago.
No, it's
the same
not.
Thing
And
happened, and
listen,
it didn't happen,
and now
sir.
you got to get into the mechanisms. Online poker, if you're a 15-year-old and you got to register with an ID and a credit card and you can't talk your brother, it's a lot more complicated.
Same thing would happen with sports.
Okay, just watch, okay? All I know is this. You take two 15-year-old boys that are in school, doing pretty good, smart, they got a lot of potential. They start betting on sports. So much potential is going to be lost. Their minds are going to be not where they should. I'm telling you. No, Nolan, I got this.
Did that happen with online poker?
That's a whole. Who
That's
cares
not
about?
A different thing.
There's a lot of kids that don't care about hold'em.
Laboratory.
They don't care about
hold'em. It's exactly the
no,
same thing that happened 10 years ago, and it did not happen. All the
I don't
fears,
ever
all
see
the
a kid.
religious nuts
I don't
were
ever see a kid
wrong.
wearing an
They
Omaha
were
high-low
wrong.
shirt.
The religious nuts were wrong.
I'm not talking about religious.
All the fearmongers were wrong.
How many kids do you see going around with Kansas City Chiefs shirts? I don't see any of them going around with Pot Limit Omaha shirts or Hold'em shirts. Okay, but they're into that. So now you're getting into the depth of the mechanism.
Why don't we
look
at what's happening in countries where there is sports betting, and there have been for a long, long time, and there are kids that walk around with Chelsea and Manchester United.
Gee, let's look at facts.
And they don't have this problem like you're saying. It's a same problem, the average problem everybody has. The kids generally
England,
don't go
Ireland.
out betting.
All I know is I got
very normal, good kids. They don't have problems
tell you,
there, sir.
I've got a 14, 15, and 16-year-old kid and girl, and you have the same ones. Yours talked their brothers into making sports betting. Mine want nothing to do with it. I got a 50,000 time greater chance of a graduation, a college, of being something because than you do.
So they got this in Ireland, in England. They got a betting shop on every corner. Netherlands, they got
online betting.
Just watch.
Why
okay.
don't they have? Why don't they have a social problem?
I'll see you in 5 years.
This has been illegal for 30 years.
Yeah, Brian.
All I know is that I've been gambling since I was 13, and I got almost as good as you could at it in every way, shape, or form. I had some of my own problems. I wish I would have never seen a gambling thing. I would have been something.
All right. No.
Okay.
You are something, Frank.
You are something.
You're a Class A man. That's the most important thing.
Oklahoma Brian, what do you think, sir?
Well, my argument isn't essentially that we're going to suck the spirit and future out of our children, although that may happen. My only point is that, all of the proposed financial victories that states are claiming are going to be offset substantially by the increased cost of having to pay for the social side effects. Am I in favor of it? Yes, I am. I'm just saying, and I haven't gotten a chance to make this point, that 17 million in Kansas may only end up being like 3 or 4 million when we're finished with.
That's 3 or 4 million they didn't have before.
And if that's okay, then as long as they know. I'm just saying, I think the public is being misled by a lot of politicians that are claiming that this is the solution to all of their problems, when the reality is Kansas probably should increase the marginal tax rate. We look at actually Kansas, don't want to get off into policy debate, but Kansas is probably the best example of a state that's completely shot itself in the dick with experimenting with Laffer curve, usually low tax rates, and they're in a absolute shithole, to borrow somebody else's phrase of the last year. Hey, this is not going to solve their problem, and I just don't want people to think that sports betting is the
No, it's not. It's not the panacea, and I agree with you. We've acknowledged that as well. By the way, if it's $3 million, that's still 90 school teachers. That's 90 science teachers you can hire for a year. 90. Okay, and a state population of about 1.5 million or whatever the number is, or it's probably 2 million. All right, so I have to ask you something, Brian, because you live in an area of the country that we're not as familiar with as you are. You live in the state of Oklahoma, which is kind of a weird state in the sense that it's very, very conservative, very moral, very religious. It has Indian casinos, most like along the Texas border. A couple of big casinos in Tulsa. There's a couple of casinos, and you're a professional sports bettor. I have to, before we kind of wrap this segment up, I have to ask you. I appreciate your blunt honesty, but I have to ask you. You're sitting there in a weird spot in this, really a very conservative area of the country. Can you talk about that and maybe some of the struggles you have?
But before you do, just Brian, turn around. My God, there's a whole group of people with pitchforks.
Is that true?
Yeah, they're coming after you. There's the sports bettor. There's the sports bettor. They're coming after you.
Get him.
Oh my God,
Nail
run.
him.
Run,
Put him
Brian,
at
run.
Yeah, it's incredibly frustrating. I don't have a lot in common philosophically with the state that I live in. It's really as a person that has kids too. It's been a tough last 5 or 6 years as we're kind of in a race to surpass Louisiana and Mississippi as the worst public school system in the country. And we have a state legislature that's completely beholden to big oil, and doesn't seem to be changing. And sports betting is not going to change that. And if anybody is stupid enough to be distracted by somebody who convinces them that sports betting is a solution to their children having 35 kids in their class, I feel sorry for them, because it's not. It's not going to solve the big problems that people in Oklahoma or other poor states have.
Very good.
So there you go. So look, we can all agree to disagree, and we can all agree that whatever we say, it really has very little effect on what's going to happen at the political level. But I think the problem, the thing that drives me crazy, is just hypocrisy. I can't stand hypocrisy. If you want to put it, if you want to have states' rights, let the states decide what they want. And I'm absolutely 100% fine if a state says, you know what, I don't want to sell liquor on Sundays. I don't want to have gambling. I don't want to have any of this stuff, provided that it's not. I don't want Jews and I don't want Indians and I don't But that's community standards, and I'm 150,000% politically for areas being able to choose their own community standards. I mean, I think that's fine, but you have to understand that sometimes a community as a whole is going to elect for standards that maybe you don't agree with, and that's just sort of the way we go here. But the notion that somehow, and listen, Frank, I will concede the point that there undoubtedly somewhere will be a 13-year-old that talks his 18-year-old brother into placing a bet for him. That is a guarantee. Okay, that is a guarantee. The question is that one 13-year-old or is that 10 million 13-year-olds? If it's one 13-year-old, as bad as that is, that 13-year-old could just as well be putting a big bet on e-gaming, which he can do right now, or could go down to the casino. Look, when I was 13, I used to buy porno mags from the guy.
Yeah, so did Bundy.
From the guy.
So Bundy did
at the Ted Bundy.
Yeah, it's exactly. I got it. I got his.
But I haven't killed animals and buried them in the. But anyway, I used to buy porno mags from the newsstand at the top by the tube station by where I live, and I tell them it for my dad.
Look,
right? Hold on. So I mean, if you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it, and if it's not one thing, it's another. Frank. I mean, we'll have to. I think the best example of what you're saying is we have to look at what the effects on marijuana usage are in areas where it's been legalized. Now, I will understand that it's a lot more difficult for a 13-year-old to go into a marijuana dispensary and get marijuana than it may be for him to talk his 18-year-old brother into making a bet. On the other hand, a 13-year-old could just as well tell his 18 or 21-year-old brother to go buy me some pot from the corner store. I mean, is it any different, right? Is it different? Is it any different? So I'd like to see what those effects are. how much of a social cost is there? There's a social cost to every freedom that we have. There's a social cost to gun ownership.
I'm not
There's
saying
a social
about
cost to
prohibition.
legalizing marijuana.
I'm saying is the states, like Brian was saying, when the states get this big, huge windfall that they think that they're going to get, that they're not going to get, okay, there is going to be a cost.
But
there's going to be addiction lines. There's
Well,
going to be a lot of things
yes.
that who's going to provide for that? That's going to come out of that. That you guys think it's a free $3 million or $5 million, like you were talking about. It ain't, because there's going to be a lot of cost, a lot of work productivity lost. Remember, you guys are talking about so many forms of gambling, and there has been roulette, lottery, e-gaming, poker. When you get into sports, you're getting into the heart nucleus of all of the teenagers in this country. That's what they do. When their older brother now comes home with a $25 16 parlay that he bought at the liquor store and starts rooting for these things, and now the 14-year-old is going to say, what are you doing with that? That is going to get into him. Oh, like you need the Saints to score that touchdown. You're going to get, I'm not saying I'm against it or a prohibition or get it out, just saying to get ready that there is going to be collateral damage. Okay, there's going to be a lot of mental collateral damage, productivity lost. I've seen so many guys at 14 and 15-year-old, brilliant minds, brilliant kids that learned how to gamble in this fucking city that right now are fucking lost, betting on shit, wasting their time in fucking casinos that could have been fucking something better, but that derails you. And let me tell you the one thing about Bundy really quickly. I've got his last 1 hour interview before he went into because he only did it with James Dawson before he would only interview with him, right? It's very fucking simple, okay? When you take a 13-year-old mind, because that's when the teenagers do, okay? He found Playboys in the garbage can down the street from his thing, him and his little buddies, just like all of us do, okay? And they opened it up. They got all excited, the naked women. You know, you're masturbating. You're doing all your fucking thing, right? Okay, granted, if it's a scale of 1 to 100, about 30 to 40% will stay right there. Penthouse, Playboy, hustler, jerk off, and you're fucking done. Now you start increasing. 40 to 60% will start going to strip clubs, renting pornos, doing it. But you've let that seed come into the mind. And granted, everybody's going to stay between that 0 and 80.
I think I'm the other 20.
Ted Bundy even declared every single person in fucking death row. And he did it. He only interviewed with James Dobson. Every single person had a problem at some point with pornography. Now, I'm not saying to get rid of pornography. I'm not all against that. But I'm just saying is when you open up that Playboy book, you don't know if you're going to stay in that first 70% or if you're going to go all the way to dead.
Well, yeah.
Same thing with gambling.
But Frank,
on sports.
I just want to make something very, very, very clear to
Okay.
you. Okay, and everybody that's watching or might watch this. I only bought Playboy for the interesting articles. Okay?
You're in the normal group, but you just don't know, okay? Just like that little kid that says, I'm going to do a line of coke, doesn't see himself in the gutter in fucking New York City with a heroin needle in his arm, okay? You just don't know when you open up that can. Well, when a 14-year-old opens up that can into the sport that he loves, because he loves soccer or he loves baseball or something, when you open it up, you don't know the derailment. I'm saying is, I didn't say against not legalizing it. Just get ready. It's not a free $5 million. There's going to be collateral human damage.
Hey, can I say one more thing, guys?
Yeah, of course. Say whatever you want.
Hey, for those of you guys that hate hypocrisy, just think about this. How would you like to be a unlicensed bookmaker arrested in New Jersey in, say, about a year from now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right?
Hold on to exactly what you just said. Go back, guys, 3 weeks. We had a discussion here about Pete Rose, and you guys told me how. And I said, do you remember what I said to you? I said the hypocrisy. These leagues all of a sudden want to embrace sports betting, but this man is banned because of sports betting. There you go. Exact same thing you're just saying, Brian. What about that bookmaker that's arrested in New Jersey?
Now, Brian,
that's a level of hypocrisy.
like if you were governor here, if you were the governor of Nevada right now, would you go into the jails right now and all of the people that got arrested for possession of marijuana, would you free them?
Yes.
I would.
Yep.
Well, then you got to free all the bookmakers, right?
Yep, absolutely. I don't believe adults should be arrested for doing things that consenting adults choose, as long as it doesn't hurt anybody.
It does hurt somebody. It's going to hurt you.
Everything hurts somebody. Everything you do. I mean,
Just take your own hit when it hurts.
Right. Fair enough. I agree. Right. Take your own hit when it hurts. Absolutely.
Like I told my kid when he was 17, if you have more than 4 beers, don't drive, please. So he had 5 beers and he drove. Who got the fucking bill for the car?
He did.
Didn't. I did.
No, I know, but you
didn't have any money
for it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But if you pay for it, you pay for it.
I had a very similar situation than that. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just saying, and I hate to curse, but I'm very passionate about this, it's not free money. There's a lot of cost that's going to be. It's okay. Just regulate it. Know what you're doing.
I agree with you. Social programs are never free.
So let me just wrap this up, and I won't be too political. I'll try to avoid, as best we can, which is impossible, but avoid, unfortunately, what you call the social cost of all activities, of everything. When you lay a new pipeline to improve infrastructure, it disrupts everything.
Collateral.
Everything. There's all collateral damage anytime you do anything or any improvement, any change. And by the way, human progress, is predicated upon a recognition of individual freedom, rights, and progress. I will just come back to what I call the data point. I don't really care what people's ancillary type experiences are. I really don't care, because I could pull people out of a gutter, and a guy out of Wall Street, and a guy out of Saudi Arabia, and a guy out of North Korea, and you get 4 different stories, and you think that's gospel. No, it's not gospel. Ancillary, anecdotal type stories are meaningless to me. Zero. And I don't mean to be disrespect to your friends.
Do you know what the word gospel means?
Because I have them too. Excuse me?
Do you know what the word gospel means?
I am relevant. I don't have any religious beliefs.
No. It
means nothing to me.
When people say gospel, they don't even know what it means. It means,
my point,
good news.
My point to you is this.
It means good news.
All I believe in, Frank Perez, is one thing.
You don't give a shit. You just give a fuck about yourself.
I do care. That's not true. I care about facts. When we're discussing,
you're going to see the facts. I'm shorting fucking sports books all over the country,
and
I'm gonna buy all the IPOs and all the GA sites.
So let me
GA's non-profit. You can't buy it.
Oh, fuck. I'd fucking buy the shit out of it.
So let me give you.
We could start one.
So let me give you some facts, because we do have history, we do have data, we do have evidence. Based on this very question we're discussing.
Not this one, baby. This is like fries and hamburgers to a teenager. This is sports.
If you let me
this
continue,
ain't poker.
If you let me continue, I'll give you the evidence. The evidence is this: we've had a country, actually several countries, that have had legalized sports gambling on every corner for decades.
Yeah, how are they doing?
Ireland, very well.
Really?
With almost no gambling issues. You've got legalized drug use and essentially a free society in the Netherlands.
You ever go to France?
I have many times.
It's a fucking nightmare.
It's not a nightmare. I have a brother-in-law in Eindhoven, Netherlands. It is a really nice, peaceful place there, and they have legalized gambling and drugs and so forth and so on. If you were to take what's called the happiness index, the happiest countries on the earth, the highest standards of living in the world, you know what countries they are? Sweden, Norway, Netherlands, Denmark, countries that are free, where people can make their own decisions about what they do with their money. If I were to go out and have a steak dinner and have a glass of wine, I can do it in the Netherlands. If I want to smoke pot in the Netherlands, I do that. And those are historically data proven. Nope, the CIA, which has data on this, it's called the Happiness Index. Rank the top 10 countries. You know what they all are? They're all the most free and the most non-religious, irreligious countries in the world, where there are non-believers and these.
Oh no! Don't talk about believers.
It's a fact. It's a fact. The Netherlands, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Finland. It's a fact. And by the way, if you want to tell me that religion and draconian restrictions are good, then move to Saudi Arabia, because that's the other extreme, brother.
You're thinking about me with that whole other extreme.
No,
I am not.
I'm giving
there.
you 10 countries
I'm not
that
there.
are happy. Canada also belongs in that list.
I'm into knowledgeable freedom. Okay,
I'm just giving you facts. I'm giving you facts.
Knowledgeable.
To be fair though, Costa Rica is usually at the top of that list. Also,
and that's a shithole. And that's a shithole. Nobody gives a fuck about anything. And by the way, Trump said it. You guys can say it. He said shithole. It was Trump. one made it popular. But let me tell you something about all those countries that you talked about. I wouldn't live in any fucking one of them. I love America because of the freedom.
You're not happy there. That's fine. But you know what? The happiness index, data, sir. It's data.
But what about America? We're free. Aren't we supposed to be the happiest?
If you were to poll the average American, the average American is struggling. They're working 2 jobs. They're struggling to pay their mortgage. They're struggling to raise children.
And now you're going to take their 20s on the Rams
and in Denmark and in Netherlands where you have protections, it's a better society, sir.
And with all that freedom, you want that last 40 on the Packers and under, right?
Actually, Frank, you said something, and I just want to take a little exception to it, okay? First of all, I agree with you. I'll happily take that 20. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Second of all, I actually don't agree with you, Nolan. I think mentioned Costa Rica. I think there are.
It's a piece of shit.
No. I think there are. I don't know if you've ever been to Norway. There's actually a lot of religious infrastructure in those countries. You might be surprised. Okay, there's no state.
The right wing's coming back. There's no countries, unfortunately.
It doesn't have to do with religion. It has to do with freedom and freedoms as granted by government. But I'm going to just put this last point out. You say I love America. I'm a veteran. I've served in the armed forces here. I've been here a long time. I will tell you that one of the things we do in this country a lot is talk about how free of a country we are. And I will tell you that compared to an awful lot of other countries, we ain't that free. There's a lot of things that we can't do here because our government restricts it, whether it's a good reason or a bad reason, whether it's state governments enforcing their community standards or the federal government in trying to enforce some standard from some fundamentalist political position. I'm talking about religion. I'm talking about fundamentalist political position, whether it's far right or far left from the other government. They haven't managed to undo this administration. You will find that we are not nearly as free as other countries. I don't mean free as freedom of expression, freedom of speech. I'm talking about free to do certain things. Okay, as other countries.
But there's a very famous quote, and it says, "To exercise ignorant freedom turns into bondage." And that means that when I see somebody over there that just says like, "Oh, I can't be a Christian," okay, because a Christian is the freest moral agent on the planet. He can do all those things that you're talking about. He just doesn't want to. So when a person says, "I can't live the life of I don't want to be a true Christian because I can't have that kind of bondage," I said, "Wait a second. You're at the bar smoking, drinking, you're doing fucking drugs, you're gambling. You're free?" See, a Christian can do all those things. He just doesn't want to. A true Christian. By the way, hypocrisy comes from the Greek word actor. You know that, right?
Well,
hypocrite. Okay.
I did
but
Greek.
That's an acting thing. But when you see a really, really, really true Christian believer, okay, that's just like this, and when you look at him, you say, "Ooh, I don't want to be like that." You say, "Like what? I'm free. I can do what you do. I just don't want to because I want to remain free." You see, when a person exercises all these things excessively, gambling, drinking, smoking, doing crack, going with whores, doing all this, you think that's free? He's free, buddy. He's in bondage, baby.
So your argument is, freedom's good, but too much freedom ain't so good.
Freedom with ignorance turns into bondage.
But one man's ignorance is another man's brilliance. It just depends on how you look at it.
Well, just be careful how you do your freedom.
The point I'm making,
it could turn into bondage.
So, Frank, we got sidetracked because the point I'm making here is that you talk about what's a free country. We're not nearly as free as other countries out there. There's lots of things you can't do. Some of them are just ridiculously stupid. Okay,
like what's so unfree that we can't?
I can't play online poker right now.
You can't play online poker?
No, not allowed.
Well,
I can't.
You will. I mean, things change.
No. Stop the you wills. I can't play online poker right now.
Okay, but
a whole business that I was involved with was destroyed because the federal government said you can't do what everyone else in the world does.
That's because they haven't found a way to regulate it and tax it, okay?
Well, hold on. You're making excuses. And excuses, maximum range is 0 meters. Okay, I told you that, okay? That's the fact. Those are the facts. You can't do that. In some areas, I mean, you can't gamble in some areas. It's just, there's all sorts of things that you're restricted from doing from a personal level that in other countries they let you do, and yes, they have a social cost for those.
But it's a freedom. You see, Utah has the freedom to not want to gamble.
No, I agree.
That's up to them.
No, I agree. And
they
you have
chose
the
to not want to
no,
gamble.
and
they
I'm
were free to choose.
I
that.
don't have any problem with that, by the way. And I've said that from the get-go. I think that's absolutely correct.
They were free
That
to
the
do
local
that.
community standards should be the ones that apply for the people living there. But then I could make a choice. I don't want to live in Utah because I can't gamble.
Right.
But California says I can. But then the federal government says I can't. That's where I'm going with this.
Well, they're trying to
that's what
correct it. I
That's
mean,
why this is such an important ruling, Frank. That's why this ruling is critical. Because it says
By
to
way,
the federal
I
government.
agree with the ruling.
Yeah, I do too.
I think
just
we're all
be careful.
I think we're all on board with the ruling. And by the way,
I agree with the ruling.
freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose.
That's right. That's right. You and Bobby McGee.
Chris Christopherson wrote those words, but they were sang by
Janis Joplin. Yeah.
Freedom just another word for nothing left to lose.
All right, let's wrap it up. Let's wrap it up because I have to exercise the freedom to relax and smoke a great big cigar tonight.
Yeah. Smoke a great big what?
Cigar.
Right,
Oh, cigar.
Okay. Look, it's been a great show, guys. We all come from different angles, different lives, different
Yes, we
experiences.
do.
We all come together for a love of sports and sports betting.
Yes,
and,
we do.
And Las Vegas and the Las Vegas lifestyle. And, it's all stuff that we love. We hope you enjoy the show. Raymond Davis was terrific. I
Sure
encourage
was.
everyone to go to Realgrinders.
Great
web group.
stories. I want to hear more stories.
We're going to do more poker during the World Series of Poker. We're going to do more baseball as the season hots up. We're going to do more. We didn't even talk about the Golden Knights. I guess we'll do that next week. We're going to do
Hopefully
more
they'll be in the Stanley Cup by
poker
the
for
time
the
we
World
talk.
Series of Poker. And, of course, World Cup will be what I love about the World Cup is everybody becomes a fan of my sport during the World Cup. So that'll be a lot of fun. All right. Anything else? Any last words? Frank, you go first.
No, great. I mean, I just wanted to tell you guys I'm on board with the ruling, and my thing is just be careful because remember, and as far as legalizing marijuana, one last thing, like legalizing marijuana, I'm not against that or nothing. But let me tell you, the school system right now gets dumbed down at a rate of 1 grade every 10 years. Now it's going to be 1 grade every 8 years.
Well, who says that?
Because I mean,
No,
people
that's
are
a
as dumb
statement.
as they can be. Now you want to get high.
And listen,
I mean, you don't think it's going to dumb society down just a twinge?
Well, okay, but hold on 1 second, Frank.
I thought you guys were wrapping it up.
Yeah, I'm trying to wrap this up. Now, Frank.
No, I
Frank,
wanted to open it back up.
Frank, what you said may be true, but what's the difference between marijuana and alcohol?
Nothing. I'm just
Nothing.
saying
It's been out there forever and a day. I mean, this is what I mean. It's hypocrisy. Why can I go why can I buy beer, but I can't buy marijuana? Thank God the federal government has finally decided. And there is a difference.
And by the way, drunk driving cases in Nevada, we've got some data on this now. Again, I drink every day. Everyone knows
you're
my
drunk all the
reputation.
time.
I drink while I drive. I don't.
They
like to
found
say
some
that.
blood in your alcohol.
Yes, it's true. But you know something? Honestly, since the legalization of marijuana in Nevada, there's been absolutely no change, no shift. In fact, I predict there'll be a decline because it's transference. The word I used earlier. People that normally would just drink several shots and get drunk, maybe they smoke a little, whatever. It doesn't impair the driving. And by the way, data proves this point. You don't see drunken or impeded driving in Washington State, Colorado, Nevada, states that legalized dope. So, hey, by the way,
don't see an increase.
And
You
I've
don't see
never
an
tried
increase.
marijuana. I'm not a doper. I'm not a proponent of it. But I just believe in allowing people to do what they want to do.
Now, talk about drug. I mean, well, we can get into this another discussion, but that's the social cost that is enormous. But we can.
I just want to say this. This is my favorite show that we've done, and not just the overtime. I think this is great. So I think that we're not going to be able to solve these issues every week, but this
Yes,
is a
we
lot of fun.
can. I won. I won all the arguments.
Only on a sports show would we be discussing these heavy social issues. But honestly, Frank, the one point that you brought up some points that were
I thought we
rubbish,
were
and you
wrapping
brought
this
up some
up.
important points. But the one point you brought up was that some of these are very important social issues, and that and we can bring them here on a sports show and wrap it up at the same time. All right,
Everybody always says, "Let's unleash the tiger." But wait a second, there's going to be people that are going to get bit. So just be careful when you unleash that tiger.
Speaking of tigers.
I mean, like pot. Like, aren't kids out of shit? Like, people always say, I want to get high. Really? Have you ever put on a great pair of tennis shoes and gone jogging up in the mountains? The endorphins, you get high as hell. But it's always... So now, how do you think our kids are going to be 15 years from now when it's video games and pot? You think they're going to be in better
It's
shape?
been like that already for 20 years, Frank.
Well, it's gonna get
Let me
worse.
I'll just close with this. I'll go 20
Video
seconds.
games and pot.
I'll just 20 seconds and close. I grew up in the drug culture. I was in high school, and I'm not making this up. There's a smoking lounge in my high school when outside of Dallas. There's a smoking lounge. Kids could smoke at 16. There was a smoke. I'm not making this up. And the kids would smoke marijuana, and true. And you know what? All these people, myself included, part of what's called the drug culture, the rock and roll, the free love, all that culture. You know what? You can look at us and say, boy, look at those guys. But you know what? We didn't come out too bad.
No.
I think we came out okay. We're responsible. We pay our bills. We love our country. We are respectful of people. We're very civil. You can make a joke, fill in your punchline. But you know what? I've never smoked marijuana in my life, never done a line of cocaine. I got a lot of friends that love that stuff. And you know what? Have fun, guys. Great. I got my own vices. I got my own issues, whatever everybody wants to make. But you know what? It works. The society works. Freedom works. And I say let people do what they want and let the pieces fall where they may.
Good point.
All right, I'm done. Frank?
I'm done. Thank you.
Brian Allen?
I'm pretty sure I'm done.
All right, so we're done. All right, want to thank everyone. Andrew Gieber on the switcher today. Great job, even with the little technical problems at the start of the show. So that's it. Join us next week.
Can't wait.
Same thing, 2 hours radio, 1 hour nonsense afterwards, but it'll be a lot of fun. All right, thanks a lot, everyone. Cheers. Have a great week.
This was the best show we ever did. We with this Raymond and all of us and everything.
Yeah, I thought this was
I mean, whoever